Now that you've all been put on notice, I'm going to try that one more time. Good evening, Phoenix! Hello and welcome to the Hall of Dames. I'd love to welcome you to the Hall of Dames, Arizona's only bank track roller derby venue, brought to you by the Arizona Derby Dames. I am Coffin Draggers.
I'm Kills Bill. Tonight's doubleheader is going to feature our adult skaters. It's my favorite bout coming up first. The Coffin Draggers are going to take the track against the Schoolyard Scrappers for some fast-paced, hard-hitting, competitive roller derby action. Before we begin, though, we got some ground rules. Please, no whistling as it interrupts the game. Please keep in mind that when in line for the bathroom, our skaters take priority. They've got to get back out on the track. But last but not least, for the safety of our skaters and yourself, please keep your body parts on the outside of the track and behind the yellow line. Nobody wants a skate to the jaw, do they?
As you can see there at midfield, those fine people wearing stripes are going through and checking the teams for safety, checking all the buckles and pads and whatnot, and making sure everybody's 100% ready to go. Those people in stripes are the regulators, and we'd love to take a second to welcome them to you this evening, skating for the regulators, or not skating for the regulators, as it were. In your first bout tonight, head referee Ziggy Stardust.
Our penalty tracker is Lollipop.
Game executioner Freya Hugs.
Our penalty tracker assist is the Morgue.
Pack ref Infidel Castro.
Our penalty box tracker, Rosie the Ripper.
Pack ref Transylvania.
Penalty box visitor, SPRG.
Jam ref Dolly de los Muertos.
Our eye in the sky, Brother Bones.
Scoreboard Retromancer.
Our jam referee, Meryl Streak.
The runner is Danny Sage.
And the eye in the sky, Hoover Slam.
Your head referee for the second bout will be Lollipop. Show some love for your regulators. It could be the only love they get all night long. And it is my pleasure to introduce to you the Coffin Draggers. Skating tonight for the prettiest ghouls in the morgue, number 1029, Reckless Rose. Number 1312, Ricky D. Bones. Number 2011, Colette Razorcat. Number 2187, Princess Sleia. Number 2323, Quiver Phoenix. Number 4, Cherry Kiss. Number 59, Raul Juke. Number 666, Witchy Woman. Number 8020, All Beef Batty. Number 925, Evil Twin. Number 96, All of You Die. Number 1951, your co-captain, Hellatrix Lestrange. And your captain of the Coffin Draggers, number 616, Antifa. Bench coaches tonight for the Coffin Draggers are Garantula and Bender B. Rodriguez.
All right, Derby fans, taking the track now, it's your Schoolyard Scrappers. Skating tonight for the Scrappers, number 007, Clutch Cannon. OMG, you're killing me, Smalls. Number 12, Bonnie Banshee. 1982, Sandra Slay O'Connor. Number 300, it's Dolly Spartan. Number 34, Pretty Hurt Machine. 440, it's Morning Madness. 669, Nikki Badass. Number 68, Juicy Kiltour. 73, Shirley Temple of Doom. 90210, Beverly Kills. Your co-captain tonight, number 172, Pikachu. And the captain of the Schoolyard Scrappers, 1235, Bob Villain. You know, it's not on there at all. Helping the Scrappers on their bench tonight, we got Thrill Sergeant and Call Me Maybe.
Let's hear it if you're here for the Coffin Draggers. Let's hear it if you were going to the fair and got lost trying to find the funnel cakes. All right, one person, good. Welcome to Derby. This is on roller skates. We'll explain it as we go. Yeah, I did. That's all I need. That's all I need. Am I confident? All right, Derby fans. Arizona Derby Dames Season 17 action set to continue. Your final four home teams all having their first game of the season this evening. We kicked things off a couple of weeks ago here at the Hall of Dames. Just about ready to go, waiting on that nice crisp whistle from head referee Ziggy Stardust. Your first jammer for the Coffin Draggers is Heletix Lestrange.
That's Dolly Spartan out there for the Schoolyard Scrappers.
All right.
Oh, Dolly Spartan sees an opening on the low and gets out as your lead jammer.
Strange at the back of the pack, now up in the middle, trying to find a way around the outside. Outrunning the last Schoolyard Scrappers blockers to the point and getting out as well.
Strange gets out, but Dolly Spartan working her way through the pack, trying to get some points right now. Getting held up by your Antifa, calls off the jam. Just as she gets knocked off the track by Quiver Phoenix. Here comes Juicy Kiltour to the jammer line for the Scrappers.
Your jammer for the Coffin Draggers is Olive You Die.
Both teams skating down one blocker.
Olive You Die. Patiently looking for an opening in the pack, now runs into a couple of blockers for the Schoolyard Scrappers. Not a lot of success either way.
Olive getting held up behind Bob Villain and Bon Bon.
There goes Juicy now trying to duck to the inside, and Juicy right at the opening to the front straightaway ducks through. Looks like we had an inadvertent whistle that led to the end of that jam. That does happen once in a while, unfortunately. So no points for either side. We'll go ahead and set up for jam number 3. On the jammer line for the Schoolyard Scrappers once again is Heletix Lestrange.
That's Nikki Badass out there for the Scrappers. Strange going low, Nikki trying the high side. Strange finds some daylight though, gets out as your lead jammer.
Strange now making their way down through the far turn and down the front straightaway. Nikki still looking for an opening for the Scrappers, runs into a couple of Coffin Draggers blockers while Strange at the back of the pack trying to find her way through as well. Nikki takes a tumble, Strange fighting, trying to find their way through, and Nikki finally ducks around a blocker as they were called out of play and gets out of the pack. So now Strange unable to penetrate the defensive wall of the Schoolyard Scrappers, and Strange calls it off. Strange gets 2 points there, managed to get in front of a couple of skaters. So what we initially believed would be a close bout has started off just that way. Up to the jammer line for this Coffin Draggers is Ricky D. Bones. Your jammer for the Schoolyard Scrappers is Bonnie Banshee. Bonnie off to the infield, now looking for an opening. There's a solid wall of Coffin Draggers blockers in front of her. Bones dumped on the infield by the Schoolyard Scrappers defense. Now the pack gets to moving. Bones trying to find her way around, and with the help of her pivot, Bones gets clear for the Coffin Draggers.
Bon Bon still stuck in traffic at the back of the pack, trying to beat the front of the line. Olive tries to knock her out, but gets out.
Now the pack picks up some speed, a couple of skaters down. Bones takes advantage of the staggered pack to get most of the way through and calls it off. We'll check and see if she picked up that last point. And it's all 4 points for the Coffin Draggers and Bones on that last jam, and the Coffin Draggers jump in front. We are now on to a power jam for the Coffin Draggers, as we've had a penalty called on the Schoolyard Scrappers in the previous jam. The Schoolyard Scrappers jammer, that is. So up to the jammer line for the Coffin Draggers is Prince. Is that Slaya? That looks like Slaya. Well, there she goes to the front of the pack, and she's out and clear. That is not Slaya. Somebody's yelling it out to me, but I can't hear it over here. I'm sorry. The jammer for the Draggers. Takes off along the inside. It is Slaya. My eyes deceive me. I convinced myself it wasn't Slaya. Slaya now coming around down the front straightaway, trying to catch the pack as the Coffin Draggers offense springs into action. 20 seconds left in the power jam. Here comes Princess Slaya down through the far turn. Catches up to the front, dashes by the Schoolyard Scrappers. Managed to catch them all looking the other way and ran by on the infield without being touched. 7 seconds left in the power jam, and here comes Slaya for one more scoring pass. Tries to get through, but ends up running into a blocker and gets dumped, but an excellent offensive effort by Princess Slaya and the Coffin Draggers. 14 points on the power jam for Princess Slaya. My peas are jumping out. Up to the jammer line for the Coffin Draggers is Cherry Kiss.
That's a pretty hurt machine out there for the Scrappers. Hurt working right through the middle of the pack, able to blast their way out through brute force. Hurt's your lead jammer right now. Cherry Kiss jumping around the track, getting over skaters. Gets knocked to the infield, but able to still get out. Hurt's got some speed, though. And Hurt wisely calls it off as Cherry skates away.
You can see Hurt coming through the far turn and kind of gauging the distance and saying, no, I can't catch her, in fact. Calling off the jam, Hurt putting 4 points on the board for the Schoolyard Scrappers. And up to the jammer line now for the Coffin Draggers, once again, is Hellatrix Lestrange.
That's Pikachu out there, ready to skate for the Scrappers. Strange finds some room on the low side, gets tied up behind Kills and Peak. Scrapper's able to semi-wall up at the front of the pack there. Peak finds some daylight, gets by her Antifa, and is your lead jammer right now. Strange tied up high here up on the rail by Nikki Badass. Ends up getting out, though.
Peak now catching up to a fast-moving pack as the pack moves through the turn end of the back straightaway. Peak trying to get up to the Coffin Draggers and get a couple of points scored. Gets pinned to the rail and calls off the jam. One point for Peak there on the jam.
Olive and Rose dueling with Juicy to find some room here on the blockers line. I see Bon Bon out there for the Scrappers.
And your jammer for the Coffin Draggers is Evil Twin.
Evil Twin takes the high side, Bon Bon takes the low side. One of them will be in Luck Loman. Bon Bon gets knocked to the infield by Reckless Rose, gets back out on the track and is able to emerge as your lead jammer. Fast pack coming through turn 4 right now. Cherry and Evil Twin take a knee on the infield as Bon Bon cuts their way through the pack. Bon Bon laps the other jammer. Still your lead jammer out there for the Scrappers. Scrappers' chance to make up a couple extra points.
Evil Twin able to get out of the pack, trying to put the pressure on now and keep this to one last scoring pass for Bonnie Banshee. And Bon Bon knocked to the track and calls it off from her back. Thank you very much, Freya Hugs. We were able to clearly hear timeout blue. Schoolyard Scrappers calling a team timeout to take a moment and talk this one over, so we're waiting for the score to come up from the previous jam. Schoolyard Scrappers putting 7 points on the board, cutting the score to 20-16 as we step into this team timeout with 6:27 to go in the first quarter.
Hey, Derby fans, be sure to visit the Arizona Derby Dame Snack Bar. Grab a cold beverage or snack. You might see the cart coming around as well. All proceeds go back to the league, and your support is greatly appreciated. It's the Arizona Derby Dame Snack Bar.
Lost Dutchman Tattoo is a tattoo shop specializing in various styles from realism to traditional. You can also customize your own tattoo. If you'd like to see their work in action, see me. I'll roll up my shirt sleeve. Walk-ins are accepted. Their shop is located at 4121 North 19th Avenue. That's the east side of 19th Avenue, just north of Indian School Road.
All right, looks like I see Dolly Spartan out there on the jammer line, but looks like Evil Twin picked up a penalty on that last one. That's a power jam for your Schoolyard Scrappers. Scrappers able to close the point gap here, and now able a chance to put up some extra points here. When there's a power jam, only one team has the opportunity to collect all the points. Dolly Spartan able to get out on turn 1, and it's a slow pack coming through turn 2 right now.
Yeah, if you're new to Derby and this is one of your first bouts, you've seen obviously that as people are called for penalties in the previous jam, they sit in the penalty box the next jam, and their team skates a skater down as Dolly Spartan negotiating the pack and trying to finish a scoring pass here. When that happens to a jammer, when the jammer is penalized, that team skates without a jammer in the next jam, and that leads to what you see here, Dolly Spartan being the only point scorer on the track.
Still about 15 seconds left in this jam. Dolly Spartan's got plenty of time to get back around the track. Getting tied up here in turn 4, though. A couple Coffin Draggers trying to form a wall. They got to let her go because they've been pushed out of play. Only 3 seconds left on this jam, though. That was 10 points for the Schoolyard Scrappers. Scrappers take the lead. 27-20 right now with about 5 minutes left to go in the first.
Lead change. Take a sip of your cotton candy brandy. On the jammer line for the Coffin Draggers is Evil Twin.
That's a pretty hurt machine out there for the Scrappers. Evil Twin goes low. Pretty hurt machine goes high. Both of them working their way through the pack.
There goes Evil Twin along the inside, and Evil Twin lead jammer for the Coffin Draggers.
Coffin Draggers able to keep on putting up a wall in front of Pretty Hurt Machine, but Pretty Hurt Machine able to get out right before turn 1 as Evil Twin starts their scoring pass. Evil Twin scoots through, collects all 4 points on that jam. Here comes everybody's favorite Nikki Badass for the Scrappers.
Your jammer for the Coffin Draggers is Hellatrix Lestrange. Both teams picking up points there, 29-24 Scrappers. There goes Strange along the inside. Strange finds an opening and dashes to the front. Your lead jammer for the Coffin Draggers. Nikki Badass trying to fight through some blockers, gets a block from Killin' May Smalls, and is able to outrun Colette Razorcat to the point. So Nikki out. Strange finishes off a scoring pass and calls it off. So Strange puts 4 points on the board, cuts the lead to 1 for the Schoolyard Scrappers with 3:19 to go in the first quarter. Your jammer for the Coffin Draggers, Reckless Rose.
That's Juicy Kill Tour out there to jam for the Scrappers. Juicy working her way through the bottom of turn 4, trying to get by All of You Die. Witchy Woman able to recycle back in front, and suddenly Juicy's at the back of the pack, and Strange gets out. Oh, Rose gets out.
Rose out now and heading around trying to catch up to the pack as Juicy gets out the front of the pack for the Scrappers. We'll try to keep this to 1 scoring pass for Rose. Rose picking up speed going through the turn along the very inside. Now up to the front of the pack. Gets a blocker pushed off to the infield and gets past the pivot. Gets her 4 and calls it off. Coffin Draggers in front, 32-29. Lead change. And don't look now, but we've got another power jam for the Schoolyard Scrappers.
Looks like that's Dolly Spartan out there to skate another power jam for the Schoolyard Scrappers. Let's see how many points she can put up this time.
2 minutes even to go in the first quarter. Looks like a pretty full pack otherwise. Dolly weaving her way through the pack. There's a solid 3-wall at the front now. But they are out of play, as they did have one of the Coffin Draggers pinned at the back. Blockers can only block when they're within 20 feet of the front of the pack as defined by the referees. So sometimes you'll see those blockers have to throw their hands up and let a skater go. 36 seconds to go in the power jam as Dolly now mid-pack. The defense kind of swarming and able to recirculate in front of her here. And Dolly gets pushed off onto the infield by the Coffin Draggers defense. Has to reestablish behind the skater that pushed her off. So she starts at the very back, now trying to outrun that last blocker to the point. And Dolly pinned in behind those blockers and calls it off. So a stalwart defensive effort from the Coffin Draggers there on the power jam. 5 points for Dolly Spartan. Schoolyard Scrappers jump back in front. Lead change. Onto the jammer line now for what will probably be the last jam of the first quarter is number 96, All of You Die, for the Coffin Draggers.
Scrappers sending out Bonnie Banshee out there to jam this jam. Bon tries the low, gets knocked to the infield as All of You Die gets out. All of You Die is your lead jammer right now. The pack is virtually stopped in turn 1. Bon tries to take Olive up into the rail. Olive dives down low, try to get some more daylight. Scrappers walled up in front of her, though.
There goes Bonnie out the front of the pack. Now she's going to try to come around and keep this to this being the last scoring attempt for Olive. And Olive calls it off with a couple of seconds left on the clock, so making a liar out of me. We'll have one more jam here in the first quarter. Olive putting all 4 points on the board. Coffin Draggers jump back in front. If you've been taking a sip of your cotton candy bready every time there's a lead change, you're probably getting a buzz going by now. On the jammer line for the Coffin Draggers is Princess Sleia. Princess Sleia, obviously also the captain of the Brutal Beauties, but subbing in tonight and helping the Coffin Draggers roster a full roster. We're going to have a timeout. Let's see what kind of timeout it is.
Looks like the Scrappers might have picked up a penalty.
All right, it's a team timeout for the Coffin Draggers. So we will wait and see if they decide to challenge something or are just going to take a moment here. No time left on the quarter clock, but not quarter break yet. We do have one jam left here at the end of the first quarter, so we will step aside and air some sponsor messages for a couple of minutes. 36-34, Coffin Draggers in front right now. Hey, if you're between the ages of 10 to 17 and you love to skate, our Minor Assaults are looking for new skaters to join their team. The Minor Assaults often skate here at the Hall of Dames, and they often have mashup bouts when the adults are only skating one of the 2 bouts in an evening. Our Minor Assaults coaches not only teach technique and knowledge of the sport, but they also help build leadership, teamwork, and problem-solving skills that will help in life situations far beyond roller derby. Minor skating skills, dedication to learn, and a positive mental attitude are all that we require. Come see what all the fun is about. Ask any Arizona Derby dame how to get involved. You know, one of our recent graduates of the Minor Assaults program is All of You Die. I find it fitting that she ended up on the Coffin Draggers. It's almost like it was fated.
I see a full contingent of blockers out there for the Scrappers.
And I see no jammer for the Scrappers, so the Coffin Draggers took that time out to discuss what to do on this power jam to close out the first quarter. I didn't put my glasses on, so I don't know who the jammer is. As I just watched a blob heading down the front straightaway. That blob is strange.
Strange
no,
blob
I mean it's
jamming today.
Hellatrix Lestrange, your co-captain of the Coffin Draggers, is who the jammer is, and Strange is pinned in at the front, tries to spin around Nikki, but Nikki manages to hip her off to the infield.
Doing
now
battle up against Nikki Badass and Dolly Spartan, putting on a clinic on how to hold a jammer in a power jam.
The Coffin Draggers at the back of the pack are trying to keep that last skater. Yes, the Coffin Draggers angrily gesticulate towards the refs, trying to get that front blockers called out of play. Strange gets up and again has to get up behind the blockers. It's going to be 5 seconds left, and Strange gets out, but that's all academic now. An excellent defensive effort from the Schoolyard Scrappers on the power jam, and keeping it to no score. So that'll be the end of the action for the first quarter. If you wanted a close bout, I guess this has been okay. We've only had 6 lead changes in the last 7 jams. 36-34 Coffin Draggers as we take a 5-minute break. Catch your breath, get something from the snack bar. We'll be back in a moment.
Hurt's going to jam for the Schoolyard Scrappers, but I don't see anybody else. That makes this a Schoolyard Scrapper power jam. Hurt gets out on the low, really easy. 36-34 at the beginning of this second quarter of action. The pack stalled out in turn 2. Hurt goes high. Picks up some speed, falls back down low, being held up by Pikachu and Quiver Phoenix. Your Antifa is at the front of the pack, but Hurt's able to push on by. 27 seconds left in this jam. Hurt picking up speed coming around the back. The pack stalled out here in turn 4. And Hurt's able to make it quick. Still 15 seconds left on this jam. Plenty of time for Hurt to come back and pick up a couple extra points. Hurt trying to get her hips past any other skater. That's where you score your points, when your hips pass another skater's hips.
All right, waiting for the score to be beamed up from the infield. Our wireless score monitor, known as Fingers. Dolly de los Muertos flashing up 14 of those digits. It's a 14-point power jam for the Schoolyard Scrappers. Up to the jammer line now for the Coffin Draggers is Reckless Rose.
Right now.
Nikki manages to get past a strong block attempt by Witchy, but Nikki able to dodge her and get on past. Rose jumps her way through. Heard her get by that back wall of Scrappers, gets her 4 and calls it off. 4 points for the Coffin Draggers. Coming up to the jammer line now for the Coffin Draggers is Raul Juke.
That's Bonnie Banshee back out there for the Scrappers.
Raul Juke's first jam tonight for the Draggers.
Juke gets to the front of the pack, finds some Scrappers there, trying to form a wall. Gets knocked to the track, though. Bonnie Banshee tries to find some daylight at the bottom of the track, gets knocked to the infield, but Juke gets out. Raul Juke is your lead jammer right now. Bonnie Banshee held back by your Antifa. Bob Villain trying to clear the way for her jammer. Bon gets out, though, as Raul Juke gets to the back of the pack, trying to catch up with them in turn 1 and 2.
Juke now to the high side, trying to find an opening. Gets down, ducks around the low side of the Schoolyard Scrappers wall. Juke came out of the pack and started gaining speed, and the entire Coffin Draggers bench in unison said, "Call it!" So Juke called it off. That's what it sounded like. So 4 points for the Coffin Draggers, 4 hard-fought points there. That's 4 points the hard way, if ever. And on the jammer line now for the Draggers is Evil Twin.
I see Dolly Spartan coming up and Dolly Spartan coming back. Looks like we picked up a jammer penalty on that jam for the Scrappers. So it's a Coffin Draggers power jam.
Power jam for the Coffin Draggers. Down 4 points right now. Evil Twin putting the evil in her name this evening, skating for the Coffin Draggers. Twin takes a hard block from Nikki, wearing the pivot stripe and keying the defense for the Schoolyard Scrappers.
Scrappers keeping this pack fast and keeping a nice wall up front and recycling in front of the jammer.
And this time Twin runs into Nikki. Nikki again putting a shoulder into her, and Nikki slows her down enough to get the defense back in front of her, and Twin tumbles to the ground. 18 seconds to go in the power jam, and Twin now behind everybody again. And that's what happens when you tumble off the track, is the defense gets a chance to all get back in front of you again and force you to do it one more time. Twin gets through and calls the jam, as she was not going to be able to get back around the track in 6 rapidly evaporating seconds. So again, by the Schoolyard Scrappers, another stalwart defensive effort for the Scrappers. The score remains 48-44 Scrappers, and up to the jammer line for the Coffin Draggers is Hellatrix Lestrange.
I see Juicy Couture out there for the Schoolyard Scrappers. Juicy tied up behind a couple of draggers here at the back of the pack.
Saw Pretty Hurt Machine deliver a block to Strange and knock Strange completely back on their tuchus. But Strange now up to the front of the pack, trying to fight those blockers and get those blockers pushed out of play. Takes a forearm right to the chest. Gets dumped on the infield unceremoniously by the Schoolyard Scrappers defense. And now the defense is up and reestablished. Out the front of the pack goes Juicy with 26 seconds left on the jam clock. So Juicy, your lead jammer after 30 seconds of fighting. And Strange now able to get out as well. There was Juicy running into the pack and trying to fight through for at least a couple of points, and Strange coming in with a full head of steam. Juicy called it off. Juicy gets 3 of those points. 3 hard-fought points at the back of the pack. You just got to get your hips in front of another skater's hip to get that point. And if they go back in front of you, you don't lose the point. So that's how you pick up 3 points without ever looking like you actually passed anybody.
Scrapper sending their captain Pikachu out there.
On the jammer line for the Coffin Draggers, it's Ricky D. Bones.
Both teams skating down a blocker. Makes it a little bit easier to get through that pack. Bones and Peak trying the same line through the pack, though. Bones on the low side, though, able to get out as your lead jammer. Peak stuck behind Evil Twin right now, doing some battle, trying to get out, chasing Bones down. Peak putting some pressure on Bones as the pack picks up speed coming through turns 3 and 4. Ooh, Bones taking the long right through the pack. Gets blocked almost off the track, though. This is why you stay behind the yellow line, kids. I see Pretty Hurt Machine out there for this next jam for the Scrappers.
And jamming for the Coffin Draggers, that's Princess Leia. Got 1 second here for some debris on the track. Debris crew, debris. That happens in roller derby. There's debris. There we are. We are underway. Princess Leia and Pretty Hurt Machine. Hurt goes along the inside and finds an opening. Leia right behind her. And Hurt says, we're evenly matched in speed. I'm going to call this one off. That's 2 skaters that have skated against each other for a long time, and a case of mutually assured destruction. Stepping up to the jammer line for the Coffin Draggers now is All of You Die.
That's Dolly Spartan out there for your Schoolyard Scrappers.
We got some Olive fans in the house tonight, do we?
And that's Dolly Spartan getting out as your lead jammer. Coming out of turn 1, Dolly just took off. Dolly coming back around turn 1 and 2. Got a good speed. Able to weave through the pack so far. Gets past Witchy Woman. Olive You Die pops out of the pack right in front of her, though. And Dolly calls off that jam.
Dolly Spartan picking up 4 there for the Schoolyard Scrappers. Scrappers have stretched their lead out to the largest lead they've had so far, 57-46, in front by 11 points right now.
That's Sandra Slay O'Connor out there for the Schoolyard Scrappers.
That's Raul Juke for the Coffin Draggers. Both jammers finding their way to the infield via the defense. Morning Madness delivering a nice sliding block to Raul Juke and knocking Juke down to the infield. And ducking along the inside, there goes your Schoolyard Scrappers jammer to the front. That's Sandra Slay O'Connor. Sandy's your lead jammer for the Schoolyard Scrappers.
And Sandy gets to the back of the pack. He gets knocked off the track. Not a lot of traction. This pack is dense and moving slow through turn 3. Juke trying the high side, stuck in a wall behind Bon Bon and Meds. Morning Madness and Juicy Kill Tour, solid 3-wall. Nobody's getting by there. Pack is stalled out in turn 4.
5 seconds left on the jam clock. I think everybody's content to call this one a draw. Look like it. Everybody was pert darn tuckered out after 50 seconds of trying to get through the pack. So we'll reconvene for the next jam. 3 points there for the Schoolyard Scrappers. Sandy picking up 3 points there at the back of the pack. Not bad. Up to the jammer line for the Coffin Draggers is Cherry Kiss.
Hey, and that's Nikki Badass back out there for the Scrappers.
All right, a lot of activity up and down the line, trying to find their way through. Cherry Kiss along the inside, leaping over somebody's outstretched leg and taking lead jammer for the Coffin Draggers. Cherry Kiss, of course, another recent graduate of our minor assaults program. Cherry to the inside, and a nice sliding block there, delivered by Nikki, playing defense at the back of the pack. I was going to say, I thought that was Nikki. Yeah. Took me a second. And now Nikki takes advantage and dashes to the front. Cherry Kiss is going to get out of the pack behind her and is going to try to run her down, at least thought about it. And then Cherry says, I cannot. And Cherry said something along the lines of drat or shucks as she came through the turn.
Cherry wanted that point. That was 1 point.
That was a point she wanted and was denied.
I see Pretty Hurt Machine out there for the Schoolyard Scrappers.
And your jammer for the Coffin Draggers is Raul Juke. I think it's Raul. Yeah.
Both teams have a full complement of blockers out there. Oh, and Hurt able to get out. Hurt gets past Quiver Phoenix and is off to the races, picking up some speed. Raul Juke getting knocked to the infield by Bob Villain right there. Bob Villain, Juicy Kill Tour, and Morning Madness lining up as a solid 3-wall at the front of the pack. Draggers are attacking that line, though, trying to get their jammer out. Raul takes a knee onto the kick plate. Ouch.
Bonnie Banshee just delivered one of those 500-pound shoulders into Raul Juke's sternum. That was one heck of a block. Raul Juke has absorbed 2 of those on this jam.
Right. Raul Juke lining up as a blocker at the back of the pack. That hit took a lot out of her. Hurt trying to put some points up in the last seconds of this jam. Knocked to the infield and calls it off with about 1 second left anyway.
And the the Schoolyard Scrappers put 13 big points on the board. Schoolyard Scrappers stretching that lead out, 74-51, but a penalty was assessed on that jam to their jammer, Pretty Hurt Machine. So it is immediately a power jam for the Coffin Draggers and a chance for them to tack some offensive points on the board.
Out there to skate that jam. That's Reckless Rose. Rose out there going to power through and skate this jam, skate this power jam. And Rose emerges coming out of turn one. Rose is the jammer. She's out. 47 seconds left. See what kind of points they can put on the board.
Reckless Rose trying to sneak along the inside, and Nikki Badass just kind of put a elbow into her back, knocked her flat on the ground, and let the defense reform in front of her, trying to put a stop to this scoring pass as best they can. Rose to the ground again, going to slide off to the infield. Schoolyard Scrappers have been providing punishing defense here early on, and Reckless Rose is going to call off the jam.
I see Juicy Kiltour out there taking the jammer line for the Scrappers.
5 points there for Reckless Rose in that power jam. Was able to get past all 5 skaters. We have, well, excuse me, there was a ghost point. You know what I mean. Anyway, on the jammer line now is Princess Sleia for the Coffin Draggers. Sleia to the inside, and Sleia is going to get through and take lead jammer. Juicy able to dodge past the last blocker for the Coffin Draggers and get out as well. So Sleia's got about a fifth of a track advantage. I'd call it 20%.
That's about
Sleia
2
out to the
seconds.
inside, and Sleia gets routed off to the infield by Pretty Hurt Machine at full speed while she was calling the jam off. So let's see how many points she was able to score. That is a goose egg. So the defense there by Pretty Hurt Machine saves any points from being scored. We are getting up now for our last jam of the first half. It is 74-56 as the Coffin Draggers cut into the lead just a little bit. And on the jammer line for the Coffin Draggers is Ricky D. Bones.
Hey, that's Dolly Spartan out there for this last jam for the Scrappers. Dolly knocked off the track here back before getting to turn one. Slow pack, stopped in the turn one basically.
And there goes Bones along the inside, and Bones dashing to the front. Dolly Spartan is able to outrun those Coffin Draggers to the 20-foot line, and Dolly Spartan gets out as well. Dolly Spartan incredibly fleet of foot, and Bones calls it off rather than trying to finagle 1 point out of that mess. So that's going to take us to halftime with no further scoring. It's going to be a 15-minute halftime break. Teams are going to switch benches. Your score right now, Schoolyard Scrappers 74, Coffin Draggers 56. Don't go away. This one's going to be good.
All right, Derby fans, get those.
All right, Derby fans, 30 more minutes of Derby action to go in this first bout, and then a whole other 60 minutes to go after that. 74-58, Schoolyard Scrappers right now, and we're ready to get back to the action. On the jammer line for the Coffin Draggers is All of You Die is who it is.
Pretty Hurt Machine out there for the Scrappers. Hurt getting tangled up in the middle of the pack, gets knocked to the infield. Olive working their way through the back of the pack. Pushed around, tied up behind Bob Villain, and they all take a tumble to the infield. Olive able to pop up, though, and get out as your lead jammer. All of You Die coming around the track while Hurt's still stuck in the back of the pack here. Hurt emerges from the pack as Olive makes a scoring pass.
Olive calls it off after emerging from the pack behind Hurt. So 4 points on the board, and the Coffin Draggers will begin to chip away at that lead as best they can. 4 points at a time if necessary. Up to the jammer line for the Coffin Draggers is Ricky D. Bones.
That's Dolly Spartan out there for the Scrappers. Scrappers are skating down a blocker. 2 blockers, as I say that. It's going to be hard for Dolly to get through this pack with all 4 Coffin Draggers out there. Dolly does a little bit of offensive jamming, defensive jamming. Knocks Bones to the infield, gets back out onto the track herself, though. Nikki Badass able to put Bones on their heels. Dolly towards the front of the pack. battling up against Witchy Woman. Nikki Badass trying to clear the way. Dolly Spartan gets out of that pack. 33 seconds left on this jam. Fast pack, though, coming through turns 1 and 2.
Bones now able to get through the pack. And Dolly trying to complete a scoring pass as Bones comes around. Dolly now gets sucked into a triangle of Coffin Draggers defenders.
And there was no way out of that.
Yeah, no. So 3 points for the Schoolyard Scrappers. And back up to the jammer line for the Coffin Draggers right away. It's all of you die.
And that's Juicy Kill Tour back out there.
Olive following right behind Juicy. And now Juicy finds an opening and takes off to the front. Juicy's gone. Olive right behind her. Juicy calls it off.
Sometimes patience works for you as a jammer.
So
Juicy.
Not a lot of time for anybody to pick up a penalty on either side. We will go with a full pack to the next jam. That's Reckless Rose for the Coffin Draggers.
Hey, here comes Nikki Badass. "12 minutes left in the third here. Still early on in the second half. Reckless Rose making her way out of the pack. Brings your lead jammer. Nikki trying to get out, finds herself tied up behind Strange, but is able to emerge. Putting that pressure on the Draggers jammer as Rose gets knocked to the infield.
Rose to the infield. And
Nikki ends up taking lead jammer halfway through that jam.
yeah, you saw Rose spin off to the infield there. Wasn't able to call off the jam. You have to be established on the track to call the jam off. So Rose had to go back to the back of the pack, and in the meantime, Nikki was able to get points. 3 points for the Scrappers, 1 point for the Draggers. And up to the jammer line for the Draggers. Once again, it's all of you die.
And once again, that's Pretty Hurt Machine out there for the Scrappers. Scrappers have a full complement of blockers. Looks like the Draggers are skating down a blocker.
And Olive racing along the inside and able to find an opening is created by her blockers, and Olive to the front of the pack. Now fighting her way along the inside and getting free is your blocker for the Scrappers. So here comes Olive to the pack. Pretty Hurt Machine will put some pressure on. Olive now being diverted off to the infield and quickly calls the jam off before skating off to the infield. Olive picks up all 4 points. 4 points for the Coffin Draggers. Schoolyard Scrappers lead is 15 right now. Up to the jammer line for the Coffin Draggers, Ricky D. Bones.
That's Pikachu out there for the Scrappers. Peak thinking her way through the pack here, gets to the front of the pack. Up against Witchy Woman and Reckless Rose. And Bones finds some daylight on the high side. Gets out as your lead jammer. Peak still trying to do battle with Witchy Woman, finally emerges.
Draggers all now catching up to the pack at once with Bones along the inside, and Bones calls it off. Bones got 1 point out of that. So the Scrappers lead is now 14. And once again to the jammer line, all of you die for the Coffin Draggers.
That's Sandra Slay O'Connor out there. Sandy taking the jammer line for the Scrappers. Oh, but wait.
There's been a... All right, it's a Coffin Draggers team timeout.
Hey, while we're here, to tell you about Tucci's Touch Massage. They specialize in deep tissue, trigger point therapy, and much more. Come visit their booth and get a free 10-minute chair massage tonight. Don't forget to enter the raffle to win a free 30-minute in-home massage. That's Tucci's Touch Massage.
We'd like to tell you about Copper Star Coffee. It's a locally owned coffee shop and cafe providing hand-blended drinks and award-winning baked goods. Visit them on the southwest corner of 7th Avenue in Heatherbrae, that's just north of Indian School Road, for delicious coffee, tea, muffins, and their incredible homemade bagels every day.
All right, Derby fans, are you enjoying tonight's live roller derby action? Well, we're just getting started this month. Our next bout will take place on October 22nd, and it'll feature a doubleheader you don't want to miss. The Brutal Beauties are going to take on the Bombshells, and then the Runaway Brides are going to take on the Valkyries. Follow us on social media to stay up to date on all future bouts. Doors at 5, first whistle at 6.
All right, back to where we were before that timeout. All of you Die and Sandra Slay O'Connor on the jammer line. Smallish pack. Definitely. Oh, that's because there's 2 Coffin Draggers on the bench. So, large pack advantage for the Schoolyard Scrappers, and predictably, their jammer out the front of the pack. That's Sandy. Sandra Slay O'Connor. All of you Die now setting up to try and play a little bit of jammer defense at the back of the pack. Giving her team an extra blocker here, which is pretty smart team strategy, if I do say so myself. Sandy able to angle down to the inside. And Sandy finishes the scoring pass. 24 seconds left on the jam clock. Olive at the back of the pack is helping to form a wall with her 2 blockers. Sandy tries to dart to the high side. No dice there. And Sandy escorted to the infield by Witchy. Witchy now to the rail with Sandy with 5 seconds to go. And as an administrative point of interest, Olive got out of the pack with 1 second left on the jam clock. And Sandy was pinned to the inside there, was able to pick up. Getting some discussion.
Dolly Spartan coming to the jammer line for the Schoolyard Scrappers.
Jammer for the Coffin Draggers is Bones. 8 points for Sandy there. About 1.5 scoring passes on that last jam for the Schoolyard Scrappers to push their lead to 22.
Both teams at full strength out there. You got a full cohort of blockers.
Referees call down 1 blocker for the Coffin Draggers. Dolly up to the front of the pack, trying to fight against a couple of Coffin Draggers blockers. And able to stay on the track, weaved her way around them. Dolly is your lead jammer. Big block there. Somebody hit the ground hard. And getting out of the pack is Bones. As Dolly now trying to finish a scoring pass, takes the block from Cherry Kiss down to the infield. And Dolly's going to call it off as Bones was coming in with a full head of steam. Four points for Dolly there. Coming up to the jammer line for the Coffin Draggers is All of You Die.
I see Pretty Hurt Machine out there on the jammer line for the Scrappers. Olive and Hurt taking the line again. Again, we got a full pack out there as both jammers creep up to the line, trying to find their way through. And Olive jumps out to an early start, gets out on the low. Olive is your lead jammer.
And Dolly makes her way down the line and able to get, excuse me, not Dolly, that's Hurt. Hurt Machine gets out. Olive finishes the scoring pass pretty easily and calls it off. That was Hurt kind of making her way down and found an opening in that line of defense and spun out to put the pressure on Olive.
That pack split like the Red Sea right in front of Olive.
4 points for the Coffin Draggers. Hellatrix Lestrange to the jammer line.
That's Dolly Spartan back out there for the Scrappers. 92-70. Looks like the Scrappers have a 22-point lead right now. That's a small lead, though, in roller derby. Anybody can make that up on one power jam. Both jammers working their way tenderly through the back of the pack. Slow pack before, hasn't even gotten to turn one yet.
No luck yet as the pack crawls into the first turn, and now trying to find an opening. There goes Dolly. Dolly able to push those blockers to the end of the 20-foot line, and Dolly gets out for the Schoolyard Scrappers.
This is the slowest pack of the night. That pack is only in turn 2, and it's 38 seconds through this jam. Dolly getting pummeled up on the rail by Reckless Rose, Witchy Woman, Cherry Kiss. Recycling in front of her. Calls off the jam.
5 more points for the Scrappers there. It's All of You Die again for the Coffin Draggers.
Hey, out there jamming for the first time tonight, that's Bob Villain. Bob knocks Olive off the track early in the jam here. Both jammers trying to find their way through the pack. Bob pushing their way to the front of the pack, though. Bob's trying to get out right now, and Bob's your lead jammer. Olive gets taken up to the rail by Juicy Kiltour, and everybody able to recycle in front of her, but
Olive got bumped off to the infield, but stopped her momentum and got right back up to try to get through the pack as Bob now fighting with some Coffin Draggers defenders at the back of the pack.
That's Quiver Phoenix, Antifa, and Princess Leia trying to hold that back wall, trying to keep Bob from scoring any points. Bob gets back out on the track and calls off the jam.
All right. 3 points there for the Schoolyard Scrappers. They've broken 100. 100-70 Schoolyard Scrappers in front here.
As
Late in the
Nikki
third quarter.
Badass takes the line for the Scrappers.
Ricky D. Bones for the Coffin Draggers.
Nikki just eyeballs the bottom of the track and gets out. Nikki was using the force there to clear the way.
And Nikki plows her way through the pack, taking down a Coffin Draggers blocker in the process. Nikki now with 34 seconds left on the jam clock, coming around for some more. Bones gets knocked off, but Dolly unable to keep herself on the track, so Bones able to get up and keep going, and Nikki's going to try to weave her way around her. Bones tries to get in the way. Nikki picks up the point, it appears anyway, and calls off the jam. Nikki did. All 10 points for Nikki Badass there on 2 passes.
Here comes Bonnie Banshee to the jammer line for the Scrappers.
And it's All of You Die for the Coffin Draggers. Both jammers making their way up and down the pack. Bonnie Banshee to the inside, then ducks to the outside, and Bonnie Banshee is her lead jammer for the Scrappers. All of You Die is going to get out right behind her. Bon Bon's going to try to get back to the pack now.
Fast pack coming around the track. My goodness, Bon Bon's trying to catch up.
Bon Bon down to the inside and gets back up on the track to call off the jam.
It skates right to the box, right? She knew she cut.
And Bon Bon didn't even break stride, rolled right to the penalty bench and took a seat. Bon Bon with a cut track there and just wasn't able to get around it with her momentum carrying her through the turn and back up on the track. So it's a power jam for the Coffin Draggers, but before we get to that, here comes Freya Hugs to say, no, we don't. Let's find out why.
That penalty really should be on Sir Isaac Newton. That was inertia.
Official timeout, says Freya Hugs, and it would appear so as we've got Hoover Slam and Merrill Streak up here discussing the scoring. So we'll take a moment from the action. 27 seconds to go here in the third quarter, and if it's a power jam, it's going to be the last jam of the third quarter.
You know, I want to recount. If I cut the track, do I get to keep the points? Hey, Derby fans, do you like what you see and do you love roller derby? Have you ever been interested in playing? On November 5th, we're hosting some tryouts. Come and shoot your shot at joining our league. Bring a good attitude, your basic skating skills, and $10 to the FLC Family Fitness Center at 9:30 a.m. The Family Fitness Center is the church where we all skate on the off time. Come out for tryouts on November 5th. Ask any Derby fan or Derby member how to get involved.
There are so many awesome raffle prizes tonight at our raffle prize table. You'll see our league members coming around with raffle tickets for you to purchase. For the item raffle, prize tickets are $1 per ticket or 6 for $5. For the 50-50 cash prize, which is given away at the end of the second bout, tickets cost an extra $5 a ticket or 3 tickets for $10. The tickets are 2 different colors. You'll hear us referencing both throughout the evening. Be sure to grab those now. We will update you on the 50-50 cash raffle pot later on in the night. As I was delivering that news, we had a whistle, and it is a challenge by the Schoolyard Scrappers. So the Scrappers have used their second half challenge now. It will be a couple of minutes here as the regulators gather in the back straightaway to discuss the challenge at hand, and then we'll get an update on what was challenged and what the result is. Speaking of the regulators, if you're interested in being a part of the roller derby community but hitting people really isn't your thing, our regulators are always looking for dedicated and eager minds to learn our rule set and help keep our teams on the track safe. Our regulator team is an open gender team. There are various levels of officiating that go on during roller derby bouts, including skating and non-skating roles. Come be a part of the action and help our league grow. Ask any skater or ref how to get involved. Looks like the challenge has wrapped up. We'll get an update here shortly from the regulators on what was challenged and what the result is.
It's upheld.
Challenge is upheld. What was it? Because they got 0. Got it. The issue that was being challenged by the Schoolyard Scrappers was points. They disagreed with the fact that Bonnie Banshee was not awarded any points because she cut the track while passing those skaters. And the decision was upheld. Challenge unsuccessful. No points for the Schoolyard Scrappers. We will get back to the action here now. And it will be a power jam for the Coffin Draggers, as I said. So it'll be the last jam of the third quarter. Cherry Kiss up to the jammer line for the Coffin Draggers. And we'll see if the Draggers can get some positive momentum built up heading into the fourth quarter.
Scrappers fielding a full complement of blockers for this power jam.
Cherry Kiss trying to cling to the inside of the track, spins her way around the pivot for the Schoolyard Scrappers. Nikki Badass, it gets clear.
A slow pack is a jammer's friend in a situation like this when you got a power jam. Scrappers looking to speed things up, and the Coffin Draggers looking to hold the player back.
Big block at the front of the pack by Reckless Rose, and she smiles at Nikki, and Nikki smiles at her. All's fair in love and war. Cherry Kiss now with 6 seconds on the jam clock, trying to get a couple more points here. Makes her way around the outside, ducks to the inside, spins around, and off to the infield. So Freya Hugs is going to signal the end of the quarter, and we're going to wait for the official score to come up from the infield there. Dolly de los Muertos signaling up. 13 points for Cherry Kiss on the power jam for the Coffin Draggers. So your score right now, 110 to 83. Schoolyard Scrappers in front. Coffin Draggers got 15 more minutes to hack into that lead.
Hey, put your hands together for some of these minors out there. Some of our minor assault skaters giving away some t-shirts. Make some noise. Derby fans, are you between the ages of 10 to 17 and you love to skate? Well, our minor assaults are always looking for new skaters to join their team. Our coaches not only teach technique and knowledge of the sport, but they also help build leadership, teamwork, and problem-solving skills that will help in life situations far beyond roller derby. Minor skating skills, a dedication to learn, and a positive mental attitude is all that we require. Come see what the fun is all about and ask any derby dame how to get involved in our minor assaults junior roller skating program.
All right, there's the whistle we've been waiting for. It is time for the beginning of the fourth quarter. Your score right now is Schoolyard Scrappers 110, Coffin Draggers 83, and the Schoolyard Scrappers have a plum of an opportunity to score some more offensive points here.
Looks like Cherry might have picked up a penalty on that last jam of the third, so Schoolyard Scrappers got a power jam here, and that's pretty hurt machine out there to scoop this power jam. Fast pack coming out of turns 2 and 3. Hertz got out of the pack already, though. Your only jammer, your lead jammer.
You can see
Scrappers trying to slow this pack down.
Yeah, I was just about to say, you can see the Coffin Draggers are trying to stay united at the front and keep the pack moving. And now the Schoolyard Scrappers able to get one of the Coffin Draggers defenders pinned in behind, so they'll be able to control the pace of play.
Antifa and Slaya trying to hold the line at the front of the pack. Bonnie Banshee in there trying to break it up. That's Bob Villain out there breaking up the pack. Bob doing a great job trying to get their jammer out.
Six seconds left on the power jam clock as Hurt now trying to find her way through. Calls off the jam after getting denied defensively.
That's Clutch Cannon out there to jam for the Scrappers.
Your jammer for the Coffin Draggers is Cherry Kiss. That was an 8-point power jam for the Schoolyard Scrappers. There we are. Cherry Kiss runs into Nikki Badass at the back of the pack. Clutch now to the front, but Clutch gets pushed aside, and Cherry runs to the inside. And Cherry's your lead jammer for the Coffin Draggers. Clutch now gets around a down skater, trying to find her way to the front. Gets knocked hard into the rail there. That was Witchy Woman delivering a great block. Clutch now gets around her, Cherry along the inside, trying to stay upright, and Cherry finishes the scoring pass. 25 seconds left on the jam clock. Clutch gets routed off to the infield again, so Cherry Kiss is going to have a chance at a fairly slow pack. Runs into a hard block there from Nikki. And Cherry calls it off as she's heading off the track. More debris on the track, as I said before. That happens. It's a little physical. 10 points there for the Coffin Draggers.
That's Sandra Slay O'Connor out there for the skate this jam for the Scrappers.
Coffin Draggers jammer is All of You Die.
Draggers got one blocker in the penalty box, 3-4 for blockers. Antifa knocked out. Olive gets knocked to the infield there. Sandy doing battle at the front of the pack up against Princess Slaya. Antifa. Who's that?
A lot of skaters getting up off the infield and getting reestablished on the track. Now trying to weave her way through some skaters. There's Olive. Sandy to the front of the pack. Sandy to the infield. Olive to the inside, and Olive able to get clear. Gets around a couple of Schoolyard Scrappers blockers with 18 seconds left in the jam. Sandy now pinned at the back of the pack and is going to try to play a little bit of jammer defense. Does so. Kind of breaks Olive's momentum there as she was heading up to the pack. And then Sandy takes advantage of everybody focusing on Olive to get out the front of the pack herself. That's rather academic at this point. Just keeps her from possibly becoming a jammer point, I would suppose. Olive picks up 2 points at the back of the pack for the Coffin Draggers.
I got Nikki Badass back out there on the line for the Scrappers.
Jamming for the Coffin Draggers is Bones. Couple of late penalties filtering in, and one more blocker pulled down for the Schoolyard Scrappers. So pretty heavy pack advantage here for the Coffin Draggers.
Thin pack for the Scrappers. The Scrappers got 2 people skating down.
And predictably, Bones to the inside and able to get through with her team able to focus more on offense. And Bones out and clear. Here comes Nikki now, half a track behind, almost exactly half a track behind, as Bones going to try to quickly finish a scoring pass. Dolly pins her up to the rail and slows her down. Defense able to rearrange themselves in front, and Bones calls it off.
Hey, raffle fans, looks like we skipped a raffle prize. If you got the raffle ticket number 772861, I got a prize for you. If you got raffle ticket number 772861, I got a prize for you. Come on down. I also see Pretty Hurt Machine down there on the jammer line for the Scrappers.
Your jammer for the Coffin Draggers is All of You Die.
Olive gets taken to the infield by Juicy Kiltour. Hurt battling up at the front of the pack is able to get by and get out as your lead jammer.
Olive able to emerge right behind her. Hurt's got about the length of the straightaway as a lead. Both rather quick skaters. Hurt's going to try to get back to the pack and try to get 1 point here. Blasting through the wall, goes up to the front, calls it off. So indeed, 1 point there for Hurt. Up to the jammer line for the Coffin Draggers is Evil Twin.
That's Dolly Spartan out there for the Scrappers.
9:15 to go here in the fourth quarter. Schoolyard Scrappers trying to stay in front. Scrappers have led by as many as 40. Their lead right now, 24. A lot of action, a lot of blocking going on there. Tightly bunched pack, all beef Batty getting up and getting back into the fray. And dashing along the inside goes Dolly Spartan. Evil Twin able to outrun a blocker with some help from one of her blockers. Try to keep this to one scoring pass for Dolly. And Dolly calls it off, picking up her 4 points. Jamming for the Coffin Draggers is All of You Die.
Sandra Slay O'Connor back out there again for the Scrappers. Sandy going to jam this jam against Olive. Scrappers are full strength on their blockers right now. Draggers are down a blocker. And Sandy able to get right out on the early side.
Olive trying to fight her way past a couple of blockers. Get some help from Quiver Phoenix, trying to spring her. Meanwhile, here comes Sandy at the back of the pack. Olive gets routed off by those blockers at the front. The blocker's still in play for now. And blockers get pushed out of play, so Olive gets through. Here comes Sandy fighting against the Coffin Draggers defense at the back of the pack.
Olive finally able to push Meds and Juicy out of the way, get them out of the push them out of play.
All right. 2 more points for the Schoolyard Scrappers. Lead up to 30 at this moment. Right now, jamming for the Coffin Draggers is Reckless Rose.
Who's 824? Who's 824? We didn't even announce them.
We did not.
Did not. Who is it?
And we'll get you an update on that jammer for the Schoolyard Scrappers momentarily, because we are most definitely having a roster malfunction. So we'll wait till they come on by. Meanwhile, both jammers trying to fight through. Here goes the Schoolyard Scrappers jammer. We'll get you Shirley Temple of Doom. That's who it is. Different number. Shirley has switched to 824. So Shirley Temple of Doom jamming for the first time this evening. Here comes Shirls. Shirls trips over a bunch of skaters. There's a whole lot of skaters down. Oh, Warfield there in the front straightaway. Everybody's up and okay. A couple of pats on the back.
Shirl's waiting for Rose to get back out towards the back of the pack. Calls off the jam.
Yeah, we had an unfortunate combination of a New Jersey number and then her name was folded up on the back of her jersey. So it was a mystery for a second until we saw her face. And we said, oh, that's Shirls. 4 points for the Schoolyard Scrappers there, and up to the jammer line once again for the Coffin Draggers. is All of You Die.
And that's Clutch Cannon back out there for the Scrappers.
One of the Coffin Draggers skaters got blocked so hard she ended up in their bench.
Clutch able to get on out there as your lead jammer. Olive trying to push past Juicy and Mads again.
And Olive gets out for the Coffin Draggers. And scrambling to get back up on the track was Clutch Cannon after being blocked to the infield, and Clutch calls it off.
And now taking the jammer line for the first time this evening, that's Beverly Kills out there.
We'll put a bookmark in that and be right back to that 1 second. But yes, it's an official timeout, so the regulator's going to talk over a little bit of the action there. And we'll be back to Beverly Kills' first jam momentarily. Oh, now it's crumbling.
861. Raffle ticket number 772861. Oh, they did. Never mind. All right, Derby fans, if you can't make it to the bout in person, it's no problem. We've got live stream tickets for you to watch from home. Visit our Facebook event page for those links the week of the bout and get access to our live stream. Shout out to all of you watching live on our live stream right now. Thank you for supporting our league from home. Jammer change for the Scrappers. That's Dolly Spartan out there.
So Dolly Spartan for the Scrappers, Hellatrix Lestrange for the Coffin Draggers, and a bunch of skaters tumbling to the infield there. Dolly's out and clear. There goes Strange out of the pack for the Coffin Draggers, so Dolly's going to try to finish off this scoring pass. And calls it off mid-pack. All of You Die up to the jammer line for the Coffin Draggers.
That's Pretty Hurt Machine back out there. Hurt and Olive jamming again.
Both jammers patiently approaching the pack. Olive now trying to find purchase along the inside, but gets bumped to the infield by Juicy Kiltour. And for a second there, it looked like Hurt was going to get clear, but then got kind of spun behind the defense by a blocker for the Coffin Draggers. Hurt now to the front again. This time, now doing battle with Princess Slay at the front of the pack. And Hurt able to bully her way through, and Hurt is your lead jammer for the Schoolyard Scrappers. So, now on a big block there at the back straightaway. You heard the crowd kind of, oh, all in succession. Hurt gets back up and calls off the jam as Olive is exiting the front of the pack. So we will check the score there. Score getting flashed up by Meryl Streak. And it's 4 points. 4 points for the Scrappers. On the jammer line for the Coffin Draggers is Ricky D. Bones. That's Shirley Temple of Doom on the jammer line for the Schoolyard Scrappers. Bones bumped to the infield. Sherrills now gets kind of spun back and forth. Can't quite catch who that is. It's made their personal vendetta against, that's Cherry Kiss, doing defense against Sherrills there in the front straightaway. Meanwhile, Bones spun off to the infield. Now trying to go getting a block at the front from Witchy. Half the jam gone. Both jammers still fighting.
Sherrills still tied up at the back of the pack with Cherry Kiss and Strange.
And Bones finally able to bob around and pop out the outside of the pack. Bones is out and clear with just 14 seconds left in the jam clock. Sherrills now stuck at the back of the pack and looks like she's going to try to play some jammer defense or try to get through. Sherrills crab walking her way and bumped off to the infield. And that's going to do it for the jam clock. We will check and see how that played out. 4 points on the board there for the Coffin Draggers, but unfortunately the Draggers surrender a jammer penalty. So we are going to have a power jam for the Schoolyard Scrappers. Wait, we're going to have a timeout is what's going to happen. Let's see what kind of timeout this is. There's several flavors. All right, the Coffin Draggers are choosing to use their second half challenge. So they will do so. We will go through the challenge process one more time and bring you the item being challenged and the result momentarily.
Hey, Derby fans, let me tell you about Persephone's Temptation. Spiritual candles, custom candles inspired by Greek gods, soaps, earrings, charms, and other handmade gifts. Visit them in our vendor row next to our merch booth. That's Persephone's Temptation. Come on down.
All right, we have gotten the word from the infield. Challenge overturned, challenge successful. So the Coffin Draggers get a challenge added back that they can use here in the last 58 seconds of regulation, I suppose. So it would appear that the Coffin Draggers will also have a jammer here, and it will no longer be a power jam for Sandra Slay O'Connor. We will wait for confirmation. And indeed, that is what has transpired. So here comes all of you die for the Coffin Draggers to join the previously announced Sandra Slay O'Connor for the Schoolyard Scrappers.
Just under a minute left in this bout right now. Sandy skates low, tries the low. Olive trying to follow them out. Olive gets out though as your lead jammer. Olive saw some daylight. Sandy hot on her tail, though.
Olive racing through the turn. Sandy got grabbed by the track monster. And Olive says, let's just play this on. Sandy finishes the scoring pass as well. Olive racing around the track trying to catch up to that pack. Here comes Sandy as well. Olive bobbing and weaving. Sandy to the outside, and Sandy gets escorted to the rail by a couple of Coffin Draggers blockers, as Olive has 10 seconds left on the jam clock to try to pull off another scoring pass. And that'll bring a close to that jam and bring a close to the regulation clock as well, as we had a full 1 minute jam there. Lots of points for both sides. Let's wait for the carnage to be sorted out here. 7 points for the Coffin Draggers. 8 points for the Schoolyard Scrappers. We will wait for confirmation here. There could be a penalty jam, which is what happens at the end of regulation if the penalties lay out a certain way. We'll explain it more in a second. Ziggy Scardust, our head referee, checking back and forth and seeing how we look. Everybody checking in from the various corners of the track. Here comes Ziggy. That's going to do it. We'll wait for the whistle. Head referee Ziggy Scardust makes it official with a final score of 146 to 106. Your Schoolyard Scrappers are 1-0 on the season. Fans, come on down trackside and slap hands with your favorite skater as they come on by. All right, Derby fans, yeah, let's hear it for the Coffin Draggers. A hard-fought bout as well. Coffin Draggers coming on around and by. Okay, Derby fans, so we're going to take a 30-minute break now. 30 minutes between bouts starting right about this second. In about 23 minutes, we will start intros for your second teams this evening, so set a timer. Get yourself one of those Olive Garden vibrating coasters that goes off when it's about time to start the bout. We'll be back with you momentarily. Visit the snack bar if you'd like a bite to eat. Visit the souvenir cup window if you'd like a bite to drink. And we'll be back with you shortly. Alex, who's ready for another bout? Thank you very much. Welcome back. I am Cole Often P. Grudge. The extra R is for ribs. Are you ready for the second bout? I already asked that. Anyway, we have watched a great first bout, of course. Now get ready for part two. It's the Bombshells and the Brides. Just a reminder, no whistling, as it could interrupt the game and cause accidental jam call-offs. And keep your hands, arms, feet, and everything else outside the track, behind the yellow line for your safety. With that being said, let's get this action started. First up on the track, the Bombshells. Skating tonight for the Bombshells, number 1029, Reckless Rose. Number 182, Hannibal Lecture. Number 24K, Gold Digger. Number 3, Enema Burns. Number 55, Skid Vicious. Number 6, Tornado Alley. Number 600, Thigh Voltage. Number 669, Nikki Badass. Number 77, Sheevil Knievel. Number 835, Scarin Jaeger. Number 88, Quarantina. Number 9, MK3, Gypsy Danger. Your co-captain of the Bombshells, number 44, Dirty Carry. And your captain of the Bombshells, number 1897, Impaler Swift. That is your Bombshells this evening. Don't have the coaches, so too bad. Now preparing to take the track are the Runaway Brides. Skating tonight for the Runaway Brides, number 00, Nova Kane. Number 1, Ellie Mayhem. Number 11, Slaughtermelon. Number 12, Maximum Hoverdrive. Number 1312, Ricky D. Bones. Number 401, Automos Prime. Number 623, Hollywood. Number 626, Remy Ruckus. Number 73, or perhaps number 824, we'll see, Shirley Temple of Doom. Number 772, I'll Annihilate Ya. Number Boob, Nitroglycerin. Nitroglycerin, oh my gosh. Sorry about that. Number M80, Milfin Smackers. Your co-captain of the Brides, number 100, Cryptic Callie. Captain of the Runaway Brides, number 95, Lightning the Queen. Your head referee for the regulators for this second bout of the evening is Lollipop. All right, Derby fans, getting underway here shortly. Don't forget about the raffle prizes. We've got raffle prizes and the 50-50 cash raffle. There are so many awesome raffle prizes tonight at our raffle prize table. You will see the league members coming around with two different kinds of raffle tickets. For the item raffle, it's $1 per ticket or 6 for $5. For the 50-50 cash raffle, It's $5 a ticket or $3, 3 tickets for $10. And, of course, the 50-50 cash raffle is to support our minor assaults at assorted league costs as well. So it's all for a good cause. A good DJ knows how to hit the post. All right, just about ready to get underway here. Head referee Lollipop is prepared. Game executioner Freya Hugs has a whistle in mouth. As if on cue, we didn't rehearse that, I swear. We are ready to get underway. So your first jam of the evening as we prepare to kick off 60 minutes of derby action. You've got Dirty Carry for the Bombshells and Ellie Mayhem for the Runaway Brides. Both jammers approaching the pack carefully. Now Ellie to the outside. Ellie Mayhem, your lead jammer for the Runaway Brides. Dirty Carry looking for an opening now, getting some help from her blockers, and Dirty Carry emerges out the front of the pack. Ellie Mayhem now approaching. Pack very stationary here in the far turn. Ellie Mayhem to the inside, gets some help from Lightning. Finishes the scoring pass and calls it off, heading off the track. That's our first 4 points of the game on the board for the Runaway Brides. Jamming for the Brides is Holly Hood. Your jammer for the Bombshells is Tornado Alley. Holly Hood tiptoeing along the inside, now gets bumped up into the defense. Tightly bunched pack. Hollywood gets dumped by a Bombshells blocker. Allie's still trying to find her way. Hollywood to the inside. Hollywood out the front. Hollywood, your lead jammer for the Runaway Brides. Allie gets the front blockers pushed just out of play, and Allie gets out of the pack as well. Hood tries to go to the inside and gets blocked off the track. Here comes Allie to take over lead jammer status, and Allie now your lead jammer for the Bombshells. Gets blocked in and calls it off as Hollywood getting back on the track to reestablish. No points there for the Runaway Brides. Waiting for the score to come up for the Bombshells, obviously a little complicated at the call-off. Jam ref Meryl Street coming up. We're going to have an official timeout here as the regulators are going to talk this one over. Definitely some action there at the end with the lead change, and Tornado Alley taking over as lead jammer. So the regulators are going to take a moment here to talk this one over. So a brief timeout here, official timeout for the regulators. Hey, if you're interested in being a part of the roller derby community, but hitting people really isn't your thing, our regulators are always looking for dedicated and eager minds to learn our rule set and help keep our skaters on the track safe. Our regulator team is an open gender team. There's various levels of officiating that go on during roller derby bouts, including both skating and non-skating roles. Come be a part of the action and help our league grow. Ask any skater or ref how to get involved. All right, we are getting back to the action. Stepping up to the jammer line for the Bombshells is Scary Nieger. And jamming for the Runaway Brides is Cryptic Callie. Big collision, 2 skaters down. It was 2 Bombshells blockers and Cryptic Callie out the front of the pack for the Brides. Scary Nieger now trying to fight against the defenders at the front of the pack. Now the back of the pack slowed up. Scary Nieger able to get let through as the blockers are called off. Cryptic Callie waiting for her blockers to help her out. She gets bumped off to the infield. And calls off the jam. 3 points for the Brides. On the jammer line for the Brides is Slaughtermelon. Jamming for the Bombshells, Thigh Voltage. Tightly bunched pack in the front straightaway. A lot of action going in and out. Slaughtermelon finds an opening with a lot of help from one of her friends down there. Hollyhood stranded at the front of the pack and waiting for everybody to catch up. Slaughtermelon is out of the pack as the lead jammer for the Runaway Brides. Brides now calling out instructions to each other and routing off onto the infield goes Thigh Voltage. Slaughtermelon at the back of the pack as well. Slaughtermelon takes a tumble and slides off onto the infield just as Thigh Voltage also did. 10 seconds left on the jam clock. And Slaughtermelon calls it off. 4 more points for the Brides on the board. Jamming for the Bombshells, number 182, Hannibal Lecture. And jamming for the Runaway Brides is Bones. Both jammers spun off to the infield by the various defenses and now back up trying to do some work. Hannibal up to the front. Hannibal darts past the blocker. Kind of a stop and go there and waited for the blocker to make a move. Then Hannibal dashed on by. Bones now fighting with the blocker at the front of the pack for the Bombshells. Hannibal runs into the defense at the back of the pack as Bones gets out the front. Hannibal now fighting her way through and calls it off. Four points on the board for the Bombshells. We've now heard from both sides. Hollyhood to the jammer line for the Runaway Brides. It's Tornado Alley for the Bombshells. Full pack out there. Lightning subs herself in. Now somebody coming back. Now there goes Slaughtermelon. And a blocker coming down for the Bombshells. And there goes Tornado Alley. It's going to be a power jam for the Runaway Brides. Penalties sort of filtering in there, and Hannibal Lecture picking up a jammer penalty in the previous jam. So Hollyhood now out there to do battle. Big block from Lightning the Queen there along the middle of the front straightaway, trying to spring Hollyhood loose. And Hollyhood able to duck around those blockers just as they're called out of play. 42 seconds left on the clock for the power jam as Hollyhood approaches the pack. And Hollyhood able to maneuver her way through. Those front blockers still out of play. You'll notice that those front blockers are just inching forward. You can't stop in bank track roller derby, but you can go really, really, really slowly. Hollyhood plays slalom with those front jammers, front blockers again, excuse me. Those front blockers still out of play. Now they're staging to block. Hollyhood gets a personal escort right through the middle of the pack, and the jam clock expires. "15-point power jam for Hollyhood and the Runaway Brides." Brides jumping out to an early lead, and they're going to send Cryptic Callie to the jammer line. Your jammer for the Bombshells, Scary Nieger. And dashing to the outside, there goes Jaeger out the front of the pack. Jaeger, your lead jammer for the Bombshells. Callie pinned to the rail by those Bombshells blockers. Jaeger's going to try to go right through the thick of it. Gets her way around that blocker. That's Ellie Mayhem for the Brides. Jaeger threads her way around. Finishes off the scoring pass. 28 seconds to go. Cryptic Callie delivers a block, then gets escorted to the infield herself by a blocker for the Bombshells. And here comes Jaeger. Jaeger catching up. Cryptic Callie loses her balance. And Jaeger tries to get some help from one of her blockers. Now trying to break through with 12 seconds to go. Jaeger spun off to the infield. Jaeger gets up and calls off the jam. We'll check on how many points Jaeger got on that second scoring pass. Jaeger picks up 7 points for the Bombshells. 26-12 Brides in front here, about halfway through the first quarter. And don't look now, but it's a power jam for the Bombshells. Skid Vicious is going to do the power jam. We had a penalty assessed to Cryptic Callie in the previous jam, so it's Skid Vicious all by her lonesome on the jammer line. Bombshells could really use this to cut into that lead. Big block delivered there. Looked like Al annihilates you. No surprise there. Now trying to look for an opening. Skid trying to find it, going to the outside. Bride's able to come back together at the front of the pack, form a four wall. So now Skid's got one blocker up there to help her. And Skid gets dumped to the infield. Halfway through the power jam here. Bride's defense still holding strong. Now Skid's blockers catch up. They're going to try to disturb a little bit, and the blockers all end up on the infield. Excellent defensive effort here from the Brides as Skid gets bumped again by Al. And Skid manages to dodge lightning and actually gets out the pack. So officially, Skid is your lead jammer, and that ends the jam. So, a stalwart defensive effort by the Runaway Brides. No 1 point assessed on the power jam, it looks like, 26-13. Slaughtermelon on the jammer line for the Runaway Brides. Your jammer for the Bombshells is Dirty Carey. Dirty Carey now thinks she has an opening. There's blockers there, and a big block delivered there in the first turn. I believe that was, didn't catch the number of that. That was Al again, delivering a huge block in the turn. And racing along the inside, there goes Slaughtermelon finding an opening. Slaughtermelon, your lead jammer for the Runaway Brides. Now racing to the front, there goes Dirty Carey. There goes Carl out the pack for the Bombshells. Here comes Slaughtermelon. Slaughtermelon gets routed off to the infield. A nice directional block there. And scrambles to get back on the track to call off the jam. Let's check those points on the back end. 3 points for Slaughtermelon. Jammers lining up for the next jam. Let's wait and see if we have a timeout. All right, very brief discussion. No official timeout needed. 1 point for the Bombshells there at the back end of that. Tornado Alley for the Bombshells. Ellie Mayhem for the Brides. Number 6 versus number 1. Ellie racing to the front. Ellie's out and clears your lead jammer. Allie takes a punishing block at the front of the pack. Was knocked completely off her skates and prevented from leaving the pack. Here comes Ellie now to attempt a first scoring pass. Bombshells blockers trying to spring Tornado Alley. Ellie Mayhem jumps over the end of the turn and lands in the front straightaway. Tornado Alley gets out as well, so Ellie's going to try to pick up a couple of points here before calling off the jam. Gets around another skater, weaves to the front, crashes into somebody. May have been friendly fire there. It was, indeed. Ellie slamming into one of her own blockers as she calls the jam off. Ellie Mayhem, 9 points for the Runaway Brides during that jam. We've got about 3 minutes to the end of the first quarter. That's Hannibal Lecture on the jammer line for the Bombshells. Your jammer for the Runaway Brides is Slaughtermelon. There we go. Jam underway. Just under 3 minutes now. Big collision. Everybody down. Look out. A couple of skaters took a tumble. Now action going to the front of the pack. Here's Hannibal Lecture trying to shake clear. Trying to outrun that last blocker, and she's able to do so. Hannibal Lecture is your lead jammer for the Bombshells. Slaughtermelon gets out the front of the pack for the Brides and is going to try to keep this to one scoring pass for Hannibal Lecture. Hannibal now tries to duck to the inside, gets blocked off to the infield. Hollywood keying the defense at the front of the pack. Hannibal gets up behind a three wall of Novocaine, Hollywood, and Alan Ilich, and Hannibal says, I'm going to call the jam. So 3 points for the Bombshells and Hannibal Lecture in that jam. And it looks like, yes indeedy do, we've got a jammer for the Runaway Brides in the penalty box. It's going to be a power jam for the Bombshells. I said it's, wait, is it? Hang on. Well, let's see here. Now we could have double jammer down. There is probably going to be a timeout. Okay, it has been a switch. It's a power jam for the Runaway Brides now. It looks like this is going to stand. All right. No, it is not. Okay. Yeah, we're going to talk this one over for a second before I get too terribly amped up about the power jam. All right, the Runaway Brides do indeed call a team timeout, so they're going to talk this one over. We will update the action once we get back to the action here momentarily. 1:54 to the end of the first quarter. Runaway Brides in front, 38-17. We'd like to let you know about tryouts for the league. Do you love roller derby, or have you ever been interested in playing? On November 5th, we are hosting tryouts. Come and shoot your shot at joining the league. That's, again, November 5th. Just bring a good attitude, your basic skating skills, and $10 to the FLC Fitness Center. That is in the big church on the southeast corner of Bethany Home and Central. The very large church with an even larger parking lot. The FLC Fitness Center is therein. 9:30 a.m. November 5th, league tryouts. You could also join the league and become a member of our rookie class. All right, we are back to the action. It indeed is going to be a power jam for the Runaway Brides. So that pendulum swung all the way back the other way, and we've got a Bombshells jammer in the penalty box. It's Ellie Mayhem doing the jamming for the Brides. Ellie weaves her way past a couple of blockers for the Bombshells. And that the Bombshell blocker at the back of the pack was able to get out of that trap. And if those Bombshells can stay together, they're going to try to keep going. Oh, one of the Bombshells knocked off to the infield, so those front Bombshells have to stop. Ellie now able to pick her way through the pack. And clearing the way is Lightning the Queen. Ellie Mayhem finishes a scoring pass. 18 seconds left in the power jam, and the pace has slowed down considerably with those Bombshell blockers pinned at the back of the pack. Ellie finds an opening, gets on through, checks the clock on the big video screen as she heads down the back straightaway and calls off the jam. 10 points on the power jam for Ellie Mayhem and the Runaway Brides. Up to the jammer line for the Runaway Brides is Hollywood. Your jammer for the Bombshells is Dirty Carey. Dirty Carry kind of forced into playing some jammer defense there as Hollywood was coming for the same line. Hollywood trying to get by. Scary Jaeger trying to play some defense. And Hollywood waiting to see what's going to happen, then takes off. Dirty Carry right behind her. Hollywood is up for a jammer race as they both head down the front straightaway. Front straightaway, Dirty Carry tries to duck to the inside as Hollywood cuts her off. Hollywood now approaching the pack and gets by a couple of skaters and calls it off. So there's no points for the Bombshells. That has been reflected. And now Dolly de los Muertos is coming up to discuss with Transylvania. 2 points for Hollywood there for winning the jammer race. All right, lining up for one last jam here in the first quarter. It's going to be Ellie Mayhem again for the Runaway Brides and Tornado Alley for the Bombshells. Jockeying for position in the middle of the pack, and now here everybody goes, fighting their way to the front of the pack, both jammers. Allie trying to brute force her way through, gets a block. Lightning is up for the task, though, and Lightning leaves Allie on her behind. Ellie Mayhem has spun off to the infield, and Allie quick to the front again to deal with Lightning, but the rest of the pack fills in around them. Now making their way into the far turn. Big, tightly bunched pack. There goes Skid taking a fall. And Allie out the front of the pack. Allie is your lead jammer for the Bombshells. Ellie Mayhem ends up well behind the pack and is reestablishing from well behind. Looks like she's going to be content to try to get in the way, but Allie gets around her. Allie gets bumped off to the infield once again. Allie to the outside. Allie takes a left elbow right to the gut from Lightning and takes a tumble. And Allie calls it off. Four points for Tornado Alley and the Bombshells there in the last jam of the first quarter. All right, we're going to step aside from the action momentarily. It's quarter break. 5 minutes of time to catch your breath. Your score right now, Runaway Brides 50, Bombshells 21. And, of course, it is time for a raffle prize. So get those red, orange-ish raffle tickets out. Your winning raffle ticket for the quarter break prize is 404779. Now a little bit of action springing forth as Dirty Carry was delivered onto the infield by a Runaway Brides blocker. Slaughtermelon to the front now, doing battle against Scary Nieger. Scary Nieger closes the door and gets some assistance. Slaughtermelon now sprung free. Taken off and trying to get free. Oh, rammed into the rail as Dirty Carry, and Lightning the Queen piles on. Punishing defense there from the Runaway Brides. Slaughtermelon now. Hard to miss Slaughtermelon with that Technicolor visor on the front of her helmet. Slaughtermelon fights her way through along the inside and finishes a scoring pass. Dirty Carry still getting tossed around there at the back of the pack by the Runaway Brides defense. And Hollywood cleared the way, as plowing in was Slaughtermelon to finish off that scoring, try and attempt a second scoring pass. Slaughtermelon does, all 10 points for Slaughtermelon. However, Slaughtermelon picking up a penalty, so she's in the penalty box, and it's going to be a power jam for the Bombshells. Tornado Alley, she's so strong, she's an F6 Tornado, hence the jersey number. Spun off to the infield. Looks like that was Ellie Mayhem with the block, but Ellie ends up on the infield herself. So far, the Brides defense up to the challenge. Allie now up to the front. Tries to dodge to the inside. Allie spins her off again. High Voltage coming up to try to throw some blocks for the Bombshells. Gets knocked off to the infield by Ellie again. Ellie trying to block Allie. Allie gets by Ellie. Blocked into the rail. Allie now finally shakes free. And Allie catching up to the pack, but runs out of time on the clock. Al annihilates ya, authoring an incredible defensive effort on the back straightaway there, and then taking a bow to the crowd after making it her personal business to stop Tornado Alley for 40 seconds or so. Now we get ready for the next jam. No points scored there. It's going to be on the jammer line for the Runaway Brides is Maximum Overdrive for the first time. And for the Bombshells, that's number 835. That is Scary Nieger. Yeager racing around the turn. And Yeager's your lead jammer for the Bombshells. Pack now trying to keep pace. The pivot for the Bombshells spinning around to the front. Scary Nieger's got some help, but those Brides blockers got in front and called it off. I'd like to thank the Scary Nieger cheering section for waiting for me to take my glasses off and read the roster. Thank you. Up to the jammer line for the Brides is Cryptic Callie. Jamming for the Bombshells is High Voltage. Both jammers running into trouble there shortly off the line. Now Volty to the outside, trying to find an opening. She dodges around a blocker at the front of the pack. Volt is your lead jammer for the Bombshells. Out the front of the pack goes Callie. So Volt's got about half a track to work with here. Tries to dodge her way around. Now those three blockers for the Brides at the front of the pack, and Lightning the Queen delivers the punishment. Lightning the Queen hit High Voltage in approximately her sternum and pretty much sapped all of her momentum there. We've got an official timeout before we get on to the next jam, so we'll take a second here and talk over some of the action. 3 points for the Bombshells there. High Voltage putting 3 on the board. Your score right now, Runaway Brides 60, Bombshells 24. Let's tell you about the next bout. It is season 17, and we're back with our home teams. We had a year that kind of just disappeared. I don't know what happened. I just woke up in 2021. And then we had a bunch of mashup jams, and now we are back, and it is on and everybody is fighting for their team, and it is wonderful. Our next bout for the Arizona Derby Dames is going to take place on the 22nd, October 22nd, and is going to feature a doubleheader. It's the Brutal Beauties versus the Bombshells, these very same Bombshells, and then the Runaway Brides, these same brides, will be taking on the Doomsday Valkyries. Follow us on social media to stay up to date on all of our future bouts. Just search for Arizona Derby Dames. Derby fans, the 50-50 cash raffle pot is up to $185 right now. Like I said, well on its way to having at least a $100 payout to the winner and $100 to the league, as the 50-50 cash raffle goes to support our minor assaults and their travel costs. Thank you. Yes, our minor assaults, our national championship winning minor assaults, by gosh. That's right. That's right. 2017, I think it was. My memory is hazy, but yeah, that was 18. Thank you, 2018. I don't know. Clofton's got a hole in his memory, but yeah, that was one heck of a time. Watching that on the web stream at home from my couch, falling off the couch when the Miners won. Regulators are still talking it over there in the infield. What are you having at Grand Avenue Brewing tonight? I don't know. Probably the bratwurst on some sauerkraut. I think I'll have a baked potato topped with pulled pork. That's Freya. Freya has the smoked baked potato. Regulators still addressing that action. I see somebody scribbling furiously on one of the clipboards, so there is a lot being assessed here. 10:22 to go until halftime. Don't forget about Copper Star Coffee. That's a locally owned coffee shop and cafe providing hand-blended drinks and award-winning baked goods. You know the guy that was talking with me in the first bout? That's him. Visit them on the southwest corner of 7th Avenue in Heatherbray, just north of Indian School Road, for delicious coffee, tea, muffins, and their incredible homemade bagels every single day. All right, so we're waiting for the whistle. As we were getting ready to go to this official timeout, I believe it was going to be a power jam for the Bombshells, so let's check that. All right, everybody's back to their spots. Freya's got her whistle in her mouth. That's a good sign. Lollipop is, looks like dotting an I and crossing a T with the Runaway Brides bench, and we're just about ready to go. Clofton P. Grudge, stalling for time with you. There we go. You're not here to listen to me talk. You're here to watch roller derby. So it is not a power jam for the Bombshells, but on the jammer line for the Bombshells is Hannibal Lecter. Your jammer for the Runaway Brides is Slaughtermelon, and we're underway. Small pack out there after all those penalties were assessed. Are we at the minimum? No, we're not at the minimum. Hannibal Lecter out of the pack, and Hannibal is your lead jammer for the Bombshells. Slaughtermelon now to the top of the track and gets out through the rail. So Slaughtermelon trying to put the pressure on. Hannibal Lecter trying to race to the outside, gets around the rail up against Al Annihilate at the front of the pack along with Hollywood. Gets by Hollywood, trying to get up to Al and calls it off. Hannibal picks up all 4 of those points, was able to get all 4 of them on the jam. Excellent effort for 4 hard-fought points. Stepping up to the jammer line now for the Runaway Brides is Ellie Mayhem. Your jammer for the Bombshells is Skid Vicious. A lot of action. Skid up to the outside, knocked into the rail, but ricochets off. Here's Ellie to the inside doing battle at the front of the pack, and Ellie is able to weave around a blocker and get through. And now Skid out of the pack as well. Skid ran into Lightning and bounced off and kind of used that momentum to get through. So here comes Ellie. Ellie runs up into a couple of blockers. Gold Digger trying to get through there. And Ellie getting kind of weaved down. Woven? Weaved? I'm not sure. Woven down the back of blockers. At any rate, Ellie called off the jam. Ellie got 1 point there, up to the jammer line for the Bombshells. Scaring Jaeger. We're going to have a timeout before I get to the Runaway Brides jammer. And it's the Brides. Brides are going to use their second first half timeout here with 8:22 to go until halftime. So we'll step aside from the action one more time. Runaway Brides 61, Bombshells 28. Don't forget, Derby fans, here at halftime, you can visit the Arizona Derby Dames snack bar. Be sure to visit and grab a cold beverage or snack. All proceeds go back to the league. Your support is greatly appreciated. We also have a traveling snack cart, so flag that thing down and get some snacks from them as well. The Derby Dames merch booth has all your favorite league and team merchandise. They've got t-shirts, tank tops, hats, koozies, stickers, buttons of your favorite team, the Hot Shots, the league as a whole, the Miners. Go check out our discounted merch. It is where you can get your souvenir cup for the night as well, and that souvenir cup is good for another 23 minutes and 22 seconds of game action. Siphon Draw Apothecary, if you've been to a bout before, you've heard us talk about them. Brought to you by our very own Dolly de los Muertos, one of our jam referees this evening. It's an all-natural, non-toxic, handcrafted skincare product made by Dolly de los Muertos. We want to shout her out for always providing us with hand sanitizer, keeping us safe with clean hands. Visit siphondraw.com for their incredible products or visit them at historic Goldfield, Ghost Town. We are back to the action. It's going to be a power jam for the Bombshells. Skarin Jaeger is out there to do the power jam. Team timeout for the Runaway Brides as they talked that one over, gave the referees time to get all the penalties on the board. Now Jaeger doing some battle up to the rail. Jaeger's got some help now. A couple of blockers going to the front of the pack, and Jaeger races by along the outside. Out and clear now, an active scorer for the Bombshells. Jaeger up to the rail and then escorted off to the infield by the tandem of Hollywood and Lightning the Queen. Jaeger bumped again. Now a blocker coming through, trying to clear some space. That's Nikki Badass. Two Bombshells blockers have one of the Runaway Brides at the back of the pack, trying to hold the pack up. But those front blockers are not out of play yet. Now getting a little help. Jaeger trying to get sprung free. Try to finish off this scoring pass and get all 5 of the points before the clock expires. 1 second left. And that's going to do it on the power jam. We'll have to check and see how many skaters she was able to get by. Jaeger puts 4 points on the board for the Bombshells during the power jam. Team timeout, Bombshells. So once again, we will take a brief break from the action as the Bombshells want to take a second to talk some of that action over. Correction, 3 points for the Bombshells and Skarin Jaeger. There we go. Well, they're going to discuss it, so we'll bring you the official update once the timeout is over. We'd like to let you know about Persephone's Temptation. Persephone's Temptation has spiritual candles, custom candles inspired by Greek gods, soaps, earrings, charms, and other handmade gifts. Visit them in our vendor row next to the merch booth. It's right inside here. Also in the vendor row tonight is Skatewell. Skatewell is a social support community for skaters and refs to help raise mental health awareness and provide resources for those in need. Their mission is to assist others to be well on wheels. Visit them in the vendor row next to the merch booth and next to Persephone's Temptation. And the score has been revised after discussion by the regulators. 4 points for Hannibal Lecture. Is it re-revised or is it unvised? I'm not sure. Unrevised? I'm not an English major. Up to the jammer line for the Bombshells is Tornado Alley. And your jammer for the Brides, I believe that is Milfin Snackers for the first time. I was trying to piece together what number that was, and I can't read her name from here. So that's Milfin Snackers, number M80 at the back of the pack for the Brides. And at the front of the pack, again, trying to fight her way through. And there goes your jammer for the Bombshells. That's Tornado Alley. Alley now catching up quickly to the pack. Weaves her way around some blockers. Runs into Lightning at the front of the pack. Tries to scramble by along the rail, and now Thigh Voltage goes for a helper block. Lightning in the way still. Milfin Snackers trying to fight her way through at the back, and then a bunch of skaters take a tumble as Tornado Alley finishes a scoring pack. Milfin Snackers follows her out. Alley's got 8 seconds left to try and put some more points on the board. Alley now coming in with the full head of steam. Weaves her way to the top. Fights her way past at least one blocker. And finishes off another partial scoring pass. 7 points for the Bombshells and Tornado Alley on that jam. And we are going to have another stoppage in play. It's an official timeout. All right. So now the regulators need a second to talk this one over. 5:54 to halftime. Runaway Brides 61, Bombshells 39. Hey, don't forget, let's hear a shout out if you're watching us on the live stream. Wow, thanks everybody, that's great. I heard all of you. Can't make it to a bout in person? No problem. We've got live stream tickets for you to watch from home. Visit our Facebook event page for those links the week of each bout and get access to our live stream. All right, we are back to the action. On the jammer line for the Runaway Brides now is Slaughtermelon. Jamming for the Bombshells is Dirty Carry. Underway we go. Under 6 minutes to go until halftime. Slaughtermelon up to the front of the pack. Very small pack out there. The minimum, in fact. So Slaughtermelon's out and clear. And it's a solo defensive effort on the front of the pack, trying to pin her to the rail again. Now trying to get in the way and trying to stop her up, but a big block at the end of the pack. Scary Nieger at least knocking Slaughtermelon off her momentum for a second. And that is going to do it for the jam. 5 points there for Slaughtermelon and the Runaway Brides. Up to the jammer line is Tornado Alley for the Bombshells. For the Runaway Brides, your captain, Lightning the Queen. And Lightning gets routed off to the infield. A couple of hard blocks from Reckless Rose. And around to the outside goes Tornado Alley, and Alley is your lead jammer for the Bombshells. I like that Rose is just wearing her black Coffin Draggers jersey for this bout, too. It's very utilitarian. Tornado Alley gets pinned in behind a wall of Runaway Brides blockers as Lightning the Queen goes out the front of the pack. Alley is securely pinned in there, trying to fight her way by along the rail. And she calls it off as Lightning the Queen was barreling down the back straightaway. One point there for the Bombshells. Tornado Alley able to get 1 point. At the back of the pack, Slaughtermelon to the jammer line for the Runaway Brides. And your jammer for the Bombshells is Hannibal Lecter. Lots of action here. Slaughtermelon almost stayed on the track and instead ends up in the infield, and the whole pack passes her by. Selah roller derby. Slaughtermelon quickly to the inside, though, now, and is able to get free. Hannibal Lecter trying to get to the front of the pack and dealing with a couple of blockers there. Slaughtermelon making her way around. Hannibal out the front of the pack. So, going to try to keep this to one scoring pass for Slaughtermelon. Slaughtermelon dodging a blocker on one skate, going through the turn. Finally weaves her way by Nikki Badass and calls it off. Fancy footwork from Slaughtermelon coming through the far turn there. 4 points for Slaughtermelon, as one would expect. Approaching the jammer line for the Brides is Ellie Mayhem. Indeed, Ellie Mayhem. Looked like there was perhaps a little bit of confusion, but now we are up to speed. Ellie Mayhem versus Thigh Voltage for the Bombshells. Volty takes a couple of running strides, but Ellie gets by on the inside to get out as your lead jammer. Ellie now comfortably in control of the pace. Thigh Voltage really pumping those arms and trying to squeeze a little more speed out of it. The pack now playing keep away, and Ellie Mayhem calls it off. Good strategy there by the Bombshells to unite at the front of the pack. Jamming for the Bombshells once again is Scary Nieger. And jamming for the Brides. Indeed, she's wearing number 79 tonight. That is Shirley Temple of Doom. Brief adjustment. Nitroglycerin coming down as a blocker, so adjusting for a penalty. Now everybody's getting ready to go. No, Black is down one. Here comes Enema Burns. All right. Everybody's ready. Finger guns. Ready to go. Jaeger down to the inside, tries to route Shirls off onto the infield. They both end up at the infield. Shirley now up to the top. Now Shirley ducks to the inside and gets bumped again. Jaeger's trying to get around that blocker at the back. Jaeger suddenly finds an opening along the inside, and Jaeger's your lead jammer for the Bombshells. Shirls is still pinned in behind some blockers there. Now Shirls finds an opening and gets welcomed to the front, so Shirls out as well. Jaeger takes advantage of the staggered pack, but gets pushed up into the rail by Novocaine. And Jaeger calls it off with Nova and Al in front of her. 4 points for Scary Jaeger and the Bombshells. Up to the jammer line for the Bombshells is going to be Skid Vicious. Jamming for the Brides is Ellie Mayhem. Under a minute to go until halftime, and it looks like we are going to have a coach's challenge. Troy McClure has shown the flag. All right. All right, so it's a challenge, Runaway Brides. As before, we will bring you an update on the nature of the challenge and whether it was successful momentarily. Right now, it's 55 seconds to halftime. And as of right now, the Brides are in front 70-44. Hey, Derby fans, if you are between the ages of 10 to 17 who loves to skate, and if you know somebody who meets those simple criteria, our minor assaults are always looking for new skaters to join the team. Our coaches not only teach technique and knowledge of the sport, but they also help build leadership, teamwork, and problem-solving skills that will help in life situations far beyond roller derby. And as I mentioned before, hey, if you join the minor assaults, you might get to call yourself national champion for the rest of your life. So that's fun. Minor skating skills, dedication to learn, and a positive mental attitude are all that are required. Come see what all the fun is about. Ask any Arizona Derby named skater how to get involved. Penalty is upheld. Challenge unsuccessful for the Runaway Brides. So they have used their first half challenge. Penalty was called on Al Annihilation for skating out of bounds. And the regulators found that to be, oh, is that a boo because Al got a penalty? We got some Al fans out there, it sounds like. Believe it or not, even Al Annihilation can pick up a penalty. All right, we get back to the action. Once again, it'll be Skid Vicious versus Ellie Mayhem. Ellie checking things out and is in no terrible great rush to get over there and kind of looking at how the blocking is set up. And another jammer out there right quick. Hannibal Lecter joins the party. All right. So after much ado, the jam is underway. And there goes Skid racing to the front. Skid is your lead jammer. Ellie was trying to get through but couldn't hang on to the inside coping, and Ellie has to wait for the whole pack to pass her by. So here comes Skid now along the inside. Skid now starting a scoring pass, and Ellie takes advantage of an opening and the fact that the Bombshells blockers were trying to help spring their jammer, and Ellie's out. Skid Vicious looking for help from her blockers now as they catch up to the pack. Ducks her way around Lightning the Queen and calls off the jam. All right, we're going to squeeze in one more jam before halftime. That'll be fun. And it is, yes, it's going to be a power jam for the Bombshell. No, it's not. Sorry. Oh, I thought for a second it was. I'm sorry. You've got to deal with Clofton P. Grudge. I can't see the penalty board, so I'm guessing. I really like announcing roller derby, but I can't see much. Anyway, up to the jammer line is Slaughtermelon for the Runaway Brides to go up against Dirty Carrie, not Dirty Carl. Both jammers weaving in and out. Slaughtermelon takes a tumble up against the rail. Nikki the Badass is up there driving her into the rail. Dirty Carrie at the back of the pack now gets a block from Reckless Rose, but at the front there goes Slaughtermelon. Dirty Carrie dodges that last blocker for the Brides, and she's out as well. Here comes Dirty Carrie, gaining with big strides. Dirty Carrie was more than game for the jammer race, and Slaughtermelon had to call it off. So with that There you go. All right. So we will step aside for our 15-minute halftime break. The teams will switch benches. Your score as we step into halftime, Brides 70, Bombshells 47. So the Brides have been up pretty much throughout the first half, but the lead right now is just 23 points. So stay tuned. Before you step away to the halftime break, two things. First of all, there's a person running with merchandise. If you want to get hit in the face with a T-shirt, raise your hand and yell. everybody to announce this raffle prize number one more time, as we announced it there at the beginning of halftime. So if anybody was sprinting outside to use the porta potty, give you a second chance at this. Your winning raffle ticket for the halftime raffle prize, 404758. 404758. So get on down here to the announcer's table. AZDD Bombshells 47. Your first jammer here in the second half for the Bombshells is Tornado Alley. Holly Hood to the jammer line for the Runaway Brides. And there goes Holly Hood dashing to the front, using the rail to her advantage. Holly Hood's your lead jammer for the Brides. Tornado Alley fighting against a couple of Brides defenders at the front of the pack. There goes Holly Hood. Holly Hood able to get around those last two blockers for the Bombshells. Alley now to the front. Alley dodges a blocker, dodges a second blocker, and Alley gets through. Holly Hood now bumped off onto the inside. And Holly Hood is more than happy to let the clock expire on the jam after checking the clock. Get you the score in a second. Coming up to the jammer line for the Brides is Ellie Mayhem. And jamming for the Bombshells is Skarin Yeager. That was a 7-point jam there for the Runaway Brides in the previous jam once it was all said and done. 77-47. And down goes Skarin Yeager, a penalty coming into the box, and we're going to have a power jam for the Runaway Brides. Ellie Mayhem now calling out some blocking instructions from the jammer line of where she wants to go at the beginning, and she is basically escorted through, being held by the hand by her defense, not touched by anybody on that first pass. Ellie Mayhem again. Runaway Brides making this power jam look easy. Ellie Mayhem dodging through the pack. Now some action. And Ellie around the outside as well. It is a very small pack for the Bombshells here. That should be pointed out. Bombshells only have 2 blockers out there to a full pack for the Brides as Ellie Mayhem completes another. 15 seconds left in the power jam. Ellie's going to go for fourths like me at Thanksgiving. 7 seconds to go. Bombshells trying to get in the way. There's a block. Ellie gets by. I saw double tens being flashed up from the infield. That's a 20-point power jam for Ellie Mayhem and the Runaway Brides. So the Brides kick off the third quarter by padding their lead a little bit. Up to the jammer line now for the Bombshells is Thigh Voltage, and that's going to be Bones for the Brides. Bones is shoved up into the rail by Skid Vicious while Thigh Voltage tries to get through the inside. Optimus Prime takes a tumble, and Thigh Voltage gets tumbled up in her skates, tangled up in her skates, and takes a tumble. The whole pack into the back straightaway. Thigh Voltage tries to get clear and runs into another blocker. Bones to the front. Bones is your lead jammer. Volty now trying to do battle. Hung up by those blockers for the Brides. Volty now trying to get through, a blocker in her way. 15 seconds left on the clock. Here comes Bones now. And Bones runs into Gypsy Danger and Volty playing jammer defense at the back of the pack. Bones to the inside. Gypsy Danger knocks her off to the infield, and Volty out the front of the pack. And the clock expires on the jam. We'll check the score from the infield and see what Bones was able to put together on that last pass. 3 points is the ruling from the infield. Runaway Brides have reached 100. 100 to 47. Brides in front right now. Skarin Yeager to the jammer line, this time for real for the Bombshells. And the jammer for the Runaway Brides is neatly blocked in front of her. So I'll get you that update in just a moment. Brides jammer is Slaughtermelon. Yeager now trying to find an opening. Dodges a blocker for the Brides, but runs into Al Annihilator. Meanwhile, Slaughtermelon gets by while Al is blocking Yeager. Al takes a tumble. Yeager gets around one of her own blockers, and somebody for the Brides took a hard tumble to the infield. Yeager gets bumped, but her blocker falls off, so Yeager gets clear. Slaughtermelon now runs up into the wall and runs up into the last blocker, who's Nikki Badass, and she calls it off, with Yeager coming in with a full head of steam. 4 points for the Brides there. 3 points for the Brides there. All right. Jamming for the first time for the Brides this evening, Remy Ruckus. Jamming for the Bombshells is Tornado Alley. Alley to the outside, gets by on the rail, and Alley is your lead jammer. For the Bombshells, Remy to the inside, spun off and had to basically fall in the infield to not cut the track. So now here comes Alley. Remy trying to look for any opening, and Alley's going to go to the outside. Alley gets bumped to the infield now, and most of the pack's going to cycle back by her. So Alley on her first scoring pass. Remy trying to get out still. Alley now gets those last blockers called out of play, and Alley is through. One scoring pass in her hip pocket, and here comes Alley for more. Remy gets bumped off and has had to get back on track at the very back of the pack. Basically, the Bombshells are using her as a goat to keep the pace of play slow. Remy now, again, bumped off by Gypsy Danger. And with 4 seconds left on the clock, Alley goes ahead and calls it off. Next jammer for the Bombshells is Dirty Carry. Slaughtermelon for the Brides. That was a big 9-point jam for Tornado Alley and the Bombshells. Be a little more than 8 minutes to go till the end of the quarter as we get ready to start this jam. Looks like both teams down a blocker here. Both jammers trying to follow each other. Now Slaughtermelon quickly to the inside, and Slaughtermelon your lead jammer for the Brides. Dirty Carry dashing to the front, blocked up into the rail. Dirty Carry now trying to do battle with, that is Hollywood and looks like Al, yep. Now here comes Slaughtermelon, big collision, 4 skaters down. Slaughtermelon staggering on her skates, but finishes her way through the pack and is able to get past that last blocker. Dirty Carry, mid-pack. It looks like Dirty Carry's going to switch to jammer defense here. Slaughtermelon's going to weave her way through the pack with 5 seconds left on the jam clock, and now there goes Dirty Carry out the front of the pack. And that'll do it as the jam clock expires while Slaughtermelon was trying to get herself back up on the track and reestablish. Seven points for the Runaway Brides, and don't look now, but it's going to be a power jam for the... No, it's not. Again, I'm sorry. Sometimes I get a little too excited for power jams. I've discussed it with my therapist. That is going to be Lightning the Queen for the Runaway Brides and Skid Vicious for the Bombshells. Both jammers tried to go around opposite ends of the pack and then ran into each other. Lightning the Queen, however, gets out first, and Lightning's going to be your lead jammer. Skid trying to get to the front, slides down, but stops her momentum and gets up before she can be blocked off the track and gets out of the pack as well. We've got a collision with a lot of skaters now, and Lightning finds a path right through the middle of the pack, calls it off. Easy peasy 4-point squeezy. Up on the jammer line for the Runaway Brides is Shirley Temple of Doom. Jamming for the Bombshells is going to be Hannibal Lecture. A lot of movement here, but no challenge so far. Jammers repositioning themselves based on what the pack is doing. All right, so it looks like we're ready to go. There we go. Hannibal able to find an opening right along the outside, taking the rail and going through. Hannibal, your lead jammer for the Bombshells. Sherrill gets bumped off to the inside. Sherrill's now fighting her way by the rail as Hannibal runs through on the inside, untouched. Hannibal out of the pack. Sherrill's out behind her to try to put the pressure on now. Now the pack playing keep away. Those two skaters for the Brides communicating with head nods. Hannibal has to call it off. Those two skaters for the Brides were going to stay ahead. Basically staying far enough ahead that Hannibal would have had to give up points at the back of the pack if she wanted to score any of her own. All right. The Bombshells are going to take their first second half timeout. Both teams have one remaining. So we'll step aside from the action momentarily. It's 5:16 to go to the end of the third quarter. Runaway Brides 114, Bombshells 61. Derby fans, don't forget the snack booth still open. Wonderful opportunity to pop down there and grab yourself a little refreshment before you head home. All proceeds go back to the league, of course. All right, we're back to the action after the team timeout. Stepping up to the top of the jammer line is Cryptic Callie for the Runaway Brides, Tornado Alley for the Bombshells. At or after? All right, there goes Allie along to the inside, but Allie spins around and realizes that she had accidentally, inadvertently cut the track, so she gets herself back off the track, and Callie is your lead jammer for the Brides. Excuse me. Bear with me. It's Callie and Allie. If only we had Ellie right now. Callie along the inside and runs into Skid and gets bumped off. Now here comes Tornado Alley with a full head of steam. And Callie calls it off before Allie can score any points. Cryptic Callie, 2 points for the Brides there. We're going to have another timeout. Let's see what flavor this one is. That's an official timeout. So the regulators have some penalty action to discuss. 4:25 to the end of the third quarter. Brides on top 116-61. Derby fans, the snack bar closes at the end of the third quarter. So the snack bar closes when the fourth quarter starts. So if you want a snack, like I said, pop on down there. Grab yourself a tasty little treat. All right, back to the action we go. All right. So after the regulators discussed that one, they have assessed a jammer penalty to the Bombshells jammer. In the prior jam, it's a power jam for the Runaway Brides. So Hollywood out there all by her lonesome. 60 seconds on the jam clock, and there goes Hollywood right through the pack. Runaway Brides, last time they had a power jam, executed a clinic. And now, a little more action. Bombshells this time have 4 blockers instead of 2, so this should, by its own nature, be a little more interesting. Hollywood finishing her first scoring pass and making her way expeditiously around the track. Now this time, gets kind of ground up into the rail there. Hannibal Lecture doing a good job of slowing Hollywood down and taking some time off the clock. 15 seconds left. Hollywood coming around for scoring pass number 3. Now Hollywood through, and a gigantic block by Lightning the Queen. Holy mother, that was big. Hollywood went through the spot vacated by Nikki Badass and finished off the scoring pass. $15-point power jam on the board for the Runaway Brides in Hollywood there. 131-61, Brides in front. Ellie Mayhem to the jammer line for the Brides. And that's going to be thigh voltage for the Bombshells. Now, suddenly, a whole lot of action after 15 seconds, and then everybody's out at the same time. Volti got out first. Ellie had a better line through the back straightaway, though, and Ellie is your lead jammer. Ellie now approaching the pack, and as it was shaping up, with the Bombshells blockers safely in front of the Brides blockers, it is called off. 1 point for the Runaway Brides. Your Bride's jammer is Slaughtermelon. That's Scarin Yeager for the Bombshells. And Slaughtermelon taking advantage of an open path along the inside. Going into the corner, Slaughtermelon is your lead jammer. Scarin Yeager trying to outrun that last Brides blocker. And that blocker is out of play. Scarin Yeager squeaks through. Slaughtermelon's got about a third of a track lead. 38 seconds to go on the jam clock. Slaughtermelon pinned to the rail. And here comes Scarin Yeager skidding to a stop right behind her, and the jam is called off. No points either side. All right, approaching the jammer line now for the Bombshells, Tornado Alley. Jamming for the first time for the Runaway Brides this evening, Automos Prime. Prime and Alley now both carefully approaching the pack. Nobody wanting to really give away their hand too quickly. Now Prime tries to find an opening. Prime stays upright and gets through the pack. Excellent balance skills in the middle of the turn where the banking is really steep. And now Allie dashes out the front of the pack as well to try to keep this to one scoring attempt for Prime. Prime weaves her way through and then runs right squarely into Skid Vicious. My goodness, what a block. Prime gets up and furiously gets up to call off the jam. Looks like everybody's okay and heading back to the bench in good spirits. Yeah, Skid Vicious delivered a 100% lethal block there to Automous Prime in the backstretch to slow that one down. Quarter clock has reached zeros. We're going to wait for a second here as brief discussion between Meryl Streak and our Eye in the Sky. All right, it's going to be an official timeout. Sometimes when the regulators are talking behind me, I can hear that. But yeah, we're going to get a whistle here from Freya Hugs. Okay, so actually not an official timeout. Team challenge. Bombshells have used their second half challenge. So let's reset the clock. So right now, zeros on the clock for the third quarter, but we do have one more jam before the end of the third quarter. So right now it's a challenge, and we are going to get the update from Hoover Slam afterwards with the item being challenged and the result thereof. We'll be back with you shortly. Like I said, hold that quarter break. We'll be with you on the quarter break momentarily after one more jam. the fourth quarter. All right. Looks like we're about ready to get underway. It took me a second. We're about ready to get underway here in the fourth quarter. We had one skater being helped off the track there momentarily. Apparently, had been being treated on the bench, and they walked her off just now. That was number M80, Milfin Smackers. So hopefully she is doing okay. Medical crew is assisting her off the track now as we speak, back in the medic room. So we're going to get back to the action here, and I would love to tell you that it's going to be a power jam for the Bombshells. I said it's going to be a power jam for the Bombshells. Pretty good, pretty good. You know what? It'll be show ready in 14 days. Dirty carry to the jammer line. Once again, not Dirty Carl. Dirty carry to the jammer line. 4 blockers out there for the Bombshells, and one of them gets dumped on the infield. So that's how that starts. Dirty carry down to the inside. Up to the high, now trying to fight down to the low again. Now quickly, everything just springs into action. Skaters all over the track. Dirty carry trying to outrun those blockers, but the blockers get her slowed down, and they were not out of play. Carey gets dumped on the ground, now trying to find an opening. Now outrunning 2 Brides, almost not able to get there. Ellie Mayhem giving it all up for a block at the front of the pack. Able to outrun her and knocked her into the rail and got the other blockers in front of her again. 9 seconds to go on the clock. Still not making it easy up there on the front end of the pack. And with a tense stare down at the end, the jam clock expires. No points for either side, and once again, absolute stalwart defense being played by the Runaway Brides. Tornado Alley now to the jammer line for the Bombshells, and it's going to be Slaughtermelon for the Brides. All right, no challenges. Tornado Alley trying to fight her way along the rail. Outrunning that last blocker to the corner. That blocker out of play, and Alley gets waved on by. Tornado Alley is your lead jammer for the Bombshells. Slaughtermelon is pinned in behind some blockers, trying to fight her way through. Here comes Alley with a full head of steam. Slaughtermelon at the front of the pack. Tornado Alley gets ground into the rail. That couldn't be comfortable. That rail is rough. Tornado Alley now fighting her way and getting shoved off the track, slides off, trying to get up to reestablish. Here comes Slaughtermelon. Slaughtermelon gets in front of her and takes over lead jam. We had a lead change there momentarily. And then somebody definitely called it off, although I don't know who. Aha. All right, it was called off by Slaughtermelon. No big surprise here. We've got a momentary discussion going on about scoring there. Possibly 2 lead changes. All right. And, all right, we got through that without an official timeout. 2 points for the Bombshells in the previous jam, and we're underway. As the crowd has already let you know, Hannibal Lecture is out there for the Bombshells. Your jammer for the Brides is Maximum Overdrive. Max now up into the rail. Almost got clear, and there goes Hannibal. Hannibal bursting out of the pack in front of her cheering section. It's like they scripted that. Max now trying to find her way around the outside of the pack. Runs up into Scaring Jaeger there, slowing her down. Hannibal almost gets through, and Lightning the Queen shuts the door. Hannibal gets bumped off onto the inside of the track by Ellie. Hannibal back up now and calls off the jam. All kinds of hard hits in that jam. Check on the score here.
There was 1 ghost, and she passed 4, so 5.
All right, 5 points on the board there for the Bombshells. Picking up the jammer point as well during that jam. Holly Hood on the jammer line for the Brides. And that is Thigh Voltage. Took me a second. Thigh Voltage for the Bombshells. Volty now tries to get around Remy Ruckus. There's Holly Hood literally just popping up in the air in the middle of the pack. Holly Hood now to the front of the pack. Tries to get around Skid. Skid's pivot stripe is knocked sideways. That happens in roller derby as he gets slapped in the head a lot. There goes Holly Hood out the front of the pack. Hood now out and clear. Thigh Voltage keeps running into more defenders there at the front of the pack for the Brides as they circulate through. And now Volty's going to try to play some jammer defense. Holly Hood gets slowed up. Action kind of grinds to a halt here as Holly Hood stumbled off the track, gets back up to establish. More than content to just let that jam clock expire. Holly Hood puts 3 points on the board for the Brides. Dirty Carry once again for the Bombshells. Ricky D. Bones for the Brides. I hear a late penalty coming in. And a late blocker being pulled off the track in response. Bones gets hemmed in behind some Bombshells blockers, and Dirty Carry's going to take that opportunity to race through. And Dirty Carry's your lead jammer for the Bombshells. Out the front of the pack goes Bones. Carey now approaching the back of the pack. Gets redirected to the infield by Cryptic Callie, but able to get by her along the inside. Tiptoeing her way through. Gets knocked to the infield and is going to lose lead jammer. There goes Bones. Bones calls it off, exiting the pack. So 3 points for Dirty Carry there for the Bombshells. And let's check on what, as Meryl Streak now finally making her way up here to the announcer's nest. Up next is going to be, on the jammer line, Slaughtermelon for the Brides, Tornado Alley for the Bombshells. Getting that score right now. 4 points for the Brides. 4 for the Brides, 3 for the Bombshells in that last jam with a lead change. Tornado Alley up along the outside, uses that rail again. She's done that a few times tonight. Tornado Alley quickly through the pack and is her lead jammer for the Bombshells. Slaughtermelon now gets up ahead of steam and finds an opening through the turn as Tornado Alley quickly finishes off a scoring pass. It looks like Alley's going to try to pick up that jammer point now as they come through the inside. Alley along the inside picks up the jammer point, almost loses her balance coming through the turn as they're going so fast, and now to the inside, tries to catch up to the pack. Wasn't able to get to any blockers before scoring extra points, but did get that jammer point, so all 5 on the board for Tornado Alley. Autumnus Prime on the jammer line for the Runaway Brides. Your jammer for the Bombshells is Skarin Yeager. Now some discussion. Quarantina skates off for the Bombshells. I feel an official timeout coming on. Maybe. Discussion continues. Let's see. All right, now the referees sorted it out. Regulators calling down one more blocker for the Bombshells. So now we should be ready to go. Let's see if we get some finger guns this time, yeah? All right. There we go. This jam is underway. Skarin Yeager quickly up to the pack, Prime to the inside. Prime along the inside finds an opening along the inside coping in the back straightaway, and Prime is your lead jammer for the Brides. Yeager is pinned in at the back of the pack and is checking behind her, so it looks like she's going to try to play some jammer defense. And now Yeager just basically waits for her personal blocker to go try to help Prime and takes off. Yeager, though, runs into Lightning the Queen at the front of the pack. 3 skaters take a tumble. Ellie, Prime, and Carey all down. Yeager out the front of the pack. And Prime calls it off mid-scoring pass. I said mid-scoring pass, but I lied. Prime picked up all 4 of those points. 5 of those points, excuse me. Prime does get the jammer point. So 5 points flashed up from the infield for the Brides. 6:27 to go in regulation. Holly Hood versus Skid Vicious. Shooting out the front of the pack goes Holly Hood. Action comes to a pause there, and the regulators are jam reset is this call from the infield. I am not privy as to why, but everybody comes back to the jammer line, and we will reset with the same jammers, Skid Vicious and Holly Hood. All right. Apparently we had an error in the number of skaters there, so the regulators blew it dead, and we're ready to go again once again with jam number 51 of the evening. Skid finds an opening, dealing with Slaughtermelon, and then Slaughtermelon turned her head for a second, and Skid said, I'm going to go on through. Hollyhood fights her way through the front of the pack, and she's out as well. She's a half a track behind Skid. Pack now picking up speed, trying to play keep away. Here comes Skid, trying to catch up to those Brides blockers. Tries to get through as many as possible. With a little bit of fancy footwork there, was able to dip her hip around Al and stay on the track to call off the jam. 2 points for the Bombshells. 2 hard-earned points for the Bombshells there as well.
We have the tattoo and the 50-50. We're still waiting for the final total, but here's your winning.
All right, 2 points on the board there for Skid Vicious. Up to the jammer line for the Brides is Bones. Dirty Carry for the Bombshells. A lot of action here. A lot of skaters taking a tumble there early. I saw Scary Jaeger and the pivot for the Bombshells both down, racing to the front of the pack. Both jammers get out at the same time. Bones didn't realize it. Bones was out, and Bones was really unaware, and Dirty Carry came blasting out right behind her to take lead jammer. So Dirty Carry now your lead jammer for the Bombshells. Catching up to the pack. All the Brides are in front. Dirty Carry tries to get through, slides, and takes it out, and Bones is your lead jammer for the Brides. Bones takes over as lead jammer as Dirty Carry was sliding on her backside as Bones came through. So now Dirty Carry's going to line up for jammer defense. Bones at the very tippy top of the turn runs into the outside rail and gets ground off to the infield with just a couple seconds left on the jam clock. So we ended up with 1 point for the Bombshells and 6 for the Brides there. Points for both sides. Shirley Temple of Doom is preparing to jam for the Runaway Brides, and it's going to be Tornado Alley for the Bombshells. Score adjustment, minus 1 point for the Brides. It was a 5-point jam in the previous jam. All right, Tornado Alley runs up into Slaughtermelon and then bounces right off her and uses that momentum to get right out the front of the pack. So Alley out the front of the pack, and here comes Sherles with the pursuit for the Runaway Brides. Alley leaning down, scoping it out, up to the outside. Tried to find an opening and plowed into Slaughtermelon along with the pivot for the Brides there. Brought her to a halt, and she calls the jam. 2 points for the Bombshells. Looks like we've got Ellie Mayhem for the Runaway Brides and Skarin Jaeger for the Bombshells. Ellie Mayhem takes advantage of the slight pack discrepancy there and is escorted by her offense straight through, so she's your lead jammer for the Brides. Jaeger now at the front of the pack, but is pinned in behind a couple of different Brides blockers as Ellie weaves her way around and finishes a scoring pass. 36 seconds to go on the jam clock. Skarin Jaeger looking around, looking for an opening. Looks like she's going to try to help defend here as Ellie Mayhem approaches on a second scoring pass, and does. Gets right in the way. "15 seconds left in the jam as the pack slogs its way through the far turn. Now Skarin Jaeger tries to take off, but Cryptic Callie was ready for that. Jaeger gets out anyway, though, and is able to escape the front of the pack. Ellie gets back on the track and is happy to let the jam clock expire naturally. Ellie Mayhem, 9 points for the Runaway Brides in that jam. 171-81 with 1:45 to go in regulation. And the Runaway Brides have a power jam. It's going to be Slaughtermelon. Slaughtermelon out there all by her lonesome. 1:32 to go in regulation here. The Brides are going to try to run this full minute power jam to their advantage. Oh, wait a second. It is not a power jam. A very late penalty coming in. Assessed to Ellie Mayhem. We've got double jammer down. Double jammer down means that there was penalties on both jammers in the previous jam, so nobody gets a power jam. Both teams have a jammer, so Slaughtermelon joined by Thigh Voltage on the jammer line for the Bombshells, and we're underway. Thigh Voltage quickly to the inside, found a great opening there. Opening opened up by Gypsy Danger and Skid Vicious, doing great blocking. Now the pack collides. Slaughtermelon still trying to get through, and trying to barrel through with a full head of steam was Scaring Jaeger, but got elbowed onto the infield. And that brings an abrupt halt to all the momentum. Jaeger now trying to fight her way by the outside, spins around to the middle of the track, trying to get those last two blockers pushed out of play. Now gets some assistance. Jaeger's going to get back up on the track here, gets some help in the form of some blockers as Slaughtermelon gets pinned to the rail by Gypsy Danger. Jaeger at the front of the pack tries to weave her way through, gets bumped to the infield, but Holly Hood fell off as well, and Scaring Jaeger gets to complete the scoring pass. Jaeger was out. That's not Jaeger. Oh, thank you. I'm sorry. You'll have to forgive me again. My eyesight. And they both start with 6. No, they don't. I'm kidding. That was Thigh Voltage. I apologize. Thigh Voltage on that hard fought. I kept calling her Jaeger, and she scored 4 points for the Bombshells. And I do feel bad for that. I'm sorry. Up to the jammer line for the Bombshells is going to be Hannibal Lecture, and that's Lightning McQueen for the Brides. Lightning dancing her way along the inside coping and is out in lead jammer. And with the clock having hit quadruple zeros, Lightning says, I'll call that off. We'll check and make sure there's not going to be a penalty jam here, and we'll wait for the indication of the final score. But calling it so quickly obviously helps to prevent against any penalties being assessed. Everybody's checking now. We're checking up here. Just waiting 1 second here before we call this official, Derby fans. And then we'll get to the prizes. I've got the raffle tickets in my sweaty little palm. There it is. It is official. Runaway Brides 171, Bombshells 85. Runaway Brides are 1-0 on the season. All right, and let's hear it for the Bombshells.